absolutely.
This next story has been suppressed by mainstream media. Let's go to Andreas for more.
Everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Hello. Welcome to the Exertus. Tune in for another exciting episode of wonder, imagination, and discovery.
Recent Tartarians.
Она образует всеобщие закономерности, определяющие законы классической физики для нашего
Sometimes I
мира.
look at the moon and just think, the skin's beautiful.
Baby, when I met you, there was peace unknown.
Что касается энергии наномер, то она превышает ядерную в немыслимое число раз. 10 в 74 степени.
That's it. That's it. That's it. With your arms now. That's it. That's it.
Thank you for watching Exertus. Keep listening. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, please follow and subscribe and share and support. It really helps. Coming up next, Exertus.
By the way, that's gone. If you didn't record that, that's gone forever. It's gone.
So welcome back to Exertus stream. We're live. It's Soy Boy, Shock Face. Yeah. And then I Drop Bits is here. What is he got on his tongue? Is his tongue
It's like
really...
an apple stuffed in a pig because I'm a pay pig. So this is Alex Jones squeeze ball.
You're squeezing Alex Jones with your mouth. Okay. All right. Fair enough. And we're looking, this is actually what it would look like to be an insectoid super soldier genetically modified by the US government or Israel or China. To see Stefan as an insectoid super soldier. So that's pretty good.
So I don't expect you to remember that I opened one of your streams by actually biting into an apple. And that day, Alex Jones had also opened a show by biting an apple. So I was like signaling, and proving that this is live in real time. This isn't pre-recorded and then CGI. Like, you do little like subtle tippy top type cues to each other, just let you know, watching you.
We pre-record this in the future and send it back.
I mean,
so it's all taped in 2028. So this is X chat. In case you guys aren't in the uncensored chat,
I believe it's called F chat, but X chat might work
around
too.
In F chat, EF chat. Yeah, that's right.
So I should open that too, so I can read it, huh?
If you go, it's cool because you can read it and people will say weird things in there. They'll talk about race, class, and gender. There's a lot of feminist, third wave feminist male students, a lot of social justice warriors in here for sure. For sure there are. Come on.
And they tax you less than YouTube, huh?
That is totally true. It's a nice little thing. They also tax your ideology.
That was Etsy's whole premise originally. Once eBay was notorious for taking 5, 10, 15%, all you had to do is say, we cap it at 3.5%, and you can, every week you get a bunch of listings for 25 cents. Just totally. Why would you post on eBay anymore?
My God, I saw this dude on Temu and he was like buying and they showed him a little 1 cent to get a Nintendo Switch. But then you had to buy a $25 wallet and then an $800 Xbox 360 or whatever I don't know, the new
Always
Xbox
read
One.
the fine print. Yeah.
And then
there are items both on Amazon and on Temu where it's the same $20 Steam Mop, but it's on there for $167 and you're going, is this like a 10-pack? And no, it throws off the algorithm, so you can't sort it by. And then what people want to do is they post something on their shop that's for $99,000, 999 cents. If that was even close to proper, but and then someone at least clicks on them. Yeah, well, no, and then you're in their shop, and then you realize that's not the price, but now they've at least got you in their shop,
Oh, the highest and lowest. Okay. Should we do breathing exercises? Is that an appropriate time? Well, yeah.
Well, there's musical interludes and yeah. So what I was trying to say is to contain the chaos of the back and forth brainstorming that we are capable of doing and zigging and zagging. I came up with something that it's a series of index cards, and like every third one is like a certain color that represents either 10 to 30 seconds of stillness and breathing. And in between, you go through a period of brainstorming, list making, and we can do that together. And then you take that list and you then again meditate. Did I miss anything from it? And you expand the list, and then you contract it and then after contracting it to the most important things, you then prioritize it from high to low priority, and then you evaluate, are these short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, and then is the effort that goes into it high, medium, or low. So you identify what's called low-hanging fruit. And again, if this is what it would feel like to kind of
your fruit hang,
run a business meeting, and again, I don't like sucking up all the air in the room. I swear, it's not my strength. But
all right, so breathing exercises.
Hopefully, it makes sense.
Okay,
sure.
So I'm gonna have Raph. You want Raph to lead it, or do you want to lead it? Because I know you like to.
Yeah,
why would we let
it.
you guys? I want to hear Raph's voice do it because he's got that calming. Doesn't his voice kind of? It's like easy listening music for girls to poop. It's like soft serve. Here you go, Raph.
Take a deep breath in through your nose. Then take a slow breath out through your mouth.
Sound like you're fogging a mirror that's 2 inches in front of your face.
And then if you want to do the potato exercise, you can actually hold your breath, or rather after your breath is expelled, you can remain calm for a moment. And then after a few seconds, again, slowly breathe in through your nose. And then breathe out through your mouth, or through your nose, actually.
Which one is it, Raph?
Well, there's so many different techniques. I couldn't tell.
You didn't give me permission to sigh it out, but I did anyway. So technically, I'm a bad student. I didn't listen.
You're your own master, and that's all right. I respect that about you.
What I say is, what the teacher says is a suggestion, and you're supposed to put that through several filters before you decide whether or not to actually do exactly what the teacher said.
Indeed.
You follow your own research.
Okay, so bend over backwards and fold yourself in a pretzel. And it's like, well, for me, that means like sit cross-legged, because I'm never gonna. But yeah. So,
did you want to open up your flashcards and
yeah. Let me see what I have here at the opening of the stream, because more and more formalities we work into this, the more it feels like Wayne's World, where they like reproduce it in the studio instead of actually in their bit. That's the best part. We are all Wayne's World now, and it would actually kind of be less relatable and suck the life out of the stream in some way if we were actually just all like because InfoWars Studio is apparently going to upgrade, and what's going to happen. So here you have hear ye. There's 3 orders of business before we get started. First, I'm going to take what's called the I'm Beautiful spray. And what I do is, instead of feeling self-conscious and is my nose so crooked, my glasses are crooked, or is my hair okay, or my clothes, do I look chubby? You just take this like favorite spray and you spray yourself and you go, I'm beautiful. And eventually it's like self-brainwashing. And then when you smell your own cologne, instead of being like, whoa, I put on way too much of that today, you're like, I don't know, positive self-esteem. So that was order of business 1. Order of business 2 is asking you guys if you have any crypto tips.
Like about the Jews?
Well, order of 3 was professing my undying support for the state of Israel, regardless, and the religion of Judaism.
Yeah,
but like
you want to get
I'm
across
gonna
here.
We're gonna call it the Israel salute or something, and it's like the
yeah,
New Age
that's
version.
what it is. It's the Israel salute.
But again, I'm 10 degrees lower than I need to be or something. And Rafa doesn't think these jokes are very funny. I met a guy at the bar the other day, and introducing, he goes, I said something about Nazis. He goes, well, I'm German. And I said, well, obviously all Germans aren't Nazis. And he was like, wow. Usually people don't say that,
Yeah, someone needs to slap him in the face and say it over and over again. You know what I was walking with some Germans, and I told them like, well, like your motto, right? Like the German motto. And they're like, what? We have a motto? And I'm like, yeah, like he was Austrian actually. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. We do say that all the time. Oh, you got us.
Is it I'm Otto? Is that the joke I'm missing?
No, because like Germans have this they all say this, that he was Austrian actually.
Who was German? Oh, right.
The painter. But what's funny is you could say that like, so what would offend a German is like you tell them that they are Nazis, and what could offend an Austrian is you tell them that they're German. So if you tell a German that he was Austrian actually, they're like, thank you. And if you tell an Austrian that he was Austrian actually, they're like, Thank you. So it's a nice thing about Austria and Germany.
Wasn't he? I thought Hitler was from a place in northern Germany, maybe, that had like S and H as the first two. It was like Schweizerborn-Hausweiser. No, and I'm
No,
probably
bro.
totally
No,
butchering
he's from Austria, but like you know.
But when I was reading in the book, I couldn't pronounce it in my head, so it was a German word that started with S and then H, and I'm going Scheisehausen. And he gets like a confluence of a bunch of rivers and like aqueduct systems is like that's where he was from, and it's like, right.
We need a sitcom
rough part of
called
town, you know?
Scheisehausen. It'd be like The Real World, but for Germany. You know, like I think the West. It would have to be in the West somewhere, like in Frankfurt or München.
So despite my best efforts, I'm going to be scatterbrained. So while we're still fresh, Rafa, if you there's in German the language, there's something called like, is it agglomeration, or where you combine two words? They're called what kind of
agglutination.
Thank you. So like Zeitgeist is an iconic title for a movie that once you see it and you associate that with the movie. So I have a movie and I'm trying to come up with the title, and it keeps sounding more like the headline for an article, but it's something about the big lie in the cannabis industry.
Wasn't there already a movie called The Big Lie about like the 2008 crisis, or is it The Big
Well,
Short?
right. No, the idea is that I'm appropriating that phase of the big lie from this divisive political sphere of who won the election or didn't, or it applies to every side is convinced. No, the other side is completely delusional. It's all mainly rooted in this one thing. But again, with the THCA,
it should be like the poster. So it should say it's a big lie, but then there should be like Trump standing there, and it just says he's just saying it's a good size. You know, like he's not saying it's.
But English will appropriate words and then put them in the dictionary if they're used enough. And so the goal is to have the title be so effective that it becomes synonymous with the topic of THCA decarboxylation. So the big lie, the cannabis big lie, and then Hanf is Hanf the word for hemp?
Yes.
And then there's other slang words that we wouldn't know. But again, this is it's called a word cloud. And what I do is I write them all down at different sizes, and then you stare at it for like hours, and then you walk away from it, and you come back and stare at it again, and eventually you're like, oh, and then you like choose half of this word, 2/3 of that one, and then you combine them, and you realize like, oh, that's a good name for a movie or something, or a book.
Ganjageist, what do you think? Something like that.
So you keep the Geist, okay? Try to play off.
No, just keep the Zeit, because Zeit. Zeit is time. So
Zeit
you could say
in Russian means bunny, I think. But.
Wait, Zeit is time and Geist is ghost. So Ganja ghost wouldn't be good. So you want Ganj Zeit. That would be kind of better, right? No? What do you think?
Well, and then because it's German, we can take Geist and then pair other kind of either prefixes or even entire words before and after.
You could make a German horror movie. The Ganja Geist would be like a spooky ghost that smokes weed all the time. Like anytime someone smokes, the smoke cloud becomes the Ganja ghost that rises up and it like chases Shaggy and Scooby.
Have you written the paragraph or a summary of the book you want to create?
Well, and it's more of like it's like a document. It could be, ideally, it would be distilled into an infographic. In architecture school, that was what we kind of was like cutting edge at the time. It was like a TED buzzword.
You know who else studied architecture? Hitler. No, I was going to do it again. I just can't help myself. Hey, did you see that there's already a super chat and it's a challenge? So Anon 4503549. Great name, by the way. I love the inside joke. I challenge Yoga Poser to debate on THCA. You ready for this?
So just name the fucking time and place, kid. You know, I mean,
I think they're saying now. Are you saying now?
Don't even start with me. Again, who am I debating with? Find me again. Stephen Colbert had to do one of these like things where he inverted the colors and he wore a red and neck. It was called Worthy Adversary or something. And the only person he could find that would debate him with ration and reason and not emotion and insinuation or innuendo was himself, unfortunately. It's like being the only adult in the room a lot of the times. It's not that I'm the smartest guy in the room all the time, although I am alone a lot. So technically, when you're alone,
that's
you
a good point. You got a point there. But you've always got Jesus. So there's that. I don't know. I'm looking to see, like, so Anon, if you have anything to just, what's your premise for your debate? What side are you taking on THCA? What did you want to debate? I'm very curious now. And what was let's start with what's your stance? What's your stance as a politician if you were to be voted on the policy of THCA? What would your policy be? I drop.
Is this to
Contestant
the
number two.
okay? So not to the caller or to the commenter. So if you're asking me politically, how do you break it down? Like ballot questions in Massachusetts were big on that. So the goal, to answer your question, what you're asking is like, if we put ballot initiatives out there, what would be most likely to be voted yes or no when it comes to re-regulating or adjusting the regulations in the cannabis industry?
I guess Anon saying THCA is a loophole to send cannabis in the mail to any state. Is that even a premise for? Is there a bias
No,
there?
that is called a coup, ladies and gentlemen. In my opinion, so there's a song called "Superior," and it's not about supremacy. It's by another white guy from actually Sicily, so I think he speaks a version of or Germanic Italian, and then he moved to Jamaica when he was 15, and he's a reggae artist. But the song, the lyrics, the chorus that keeps repeating is after he explains to you that love is superior and the devil complex is inferior. What he says is one of two things, and Ross says love double meanings in words. So he says you're worshiping material and bowing to silver and gold, but then he sings it differently. And what he's saying is we're shipping material, and he says not bowing to your silver and gold. And so worshiping material, and he says it really defiantly. And no, we created a loophole that not nearly enough people appreciate or understand how much wool we pulled over the government's eyes in order to pull that off. And now if you're in a state where it's legal, it's like annoying. But if you're in a state where there's no chance that it is, again, THCA weed is raw marijuana. And so it's like, you can't have chicken nuggets, but you can have frozen raw chicken nuggets. That's fine. But God forbid for even a moment you consider putting those in the microwave to thaw them and then a deep fryer. No. Not only are we going to tell you that's like pointless, and we're going to try to use science to explain to you how you take raw chicken and you put heat on it, right? And then it becomes cooked chicken. So just like take your lighter or a blowtorch even and just like point it at the chicken for like a half a second or maybe even 10 seconds. And now that raw chicken, you're perfectly good to cook. See, because the chemical equation that they never even learned in school because most people didn't pay attention. He said like this plus heat equals this. And so like you have the raw chicken plus the heat equals the cooked chicken. You have the THCA plus like the lighter equals decarboxylated delta 9. And again, I'm fighting with ghosts at this point because no one really people care. They just don't understand. Truckers just know that THCA weed is either fake on purpose or by accident, but it's only the people selling it to you that will try to convince you that raw chicken plus fire equals cooked chicken, and now you're all set. And there's nothing about time or thermodynamic transfer rates.
That's what I love about America, because in America it's like you can have one state where they'll kill you for drinking coffee and tea, and another state where they'll hang you for growing ganja. And then you got like the West Coast where you can just take mushrooms and nasal ketamine all day. And they're just working on making organic cocaine in Colorado. And it's just beautiful, really, how inconsistent. I love inconsistencies.
Massachusetts is one of 4 commonwealths remaining in the Union. I think you have Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and I should be able to name the other ones. But Kentucky is it? Talk about strange bedfellows. Kentucky and Massachusetts. Remember the line from the Tom Cruise movie, The Day After Tomorrow, where he goes, "Sir, are you from the United States?" And he goes, "No, sir, I'm from Kentucky."
Before you go on, what do you think about this comment?
A lot of nasty genetic engineering going on in the medical cannabis that people are trying to explain what they're experiencing. And I came online here and Andreas gave me the chance to use the stream as a sounding board. And at first I thought there was a missing enzyme, and that might also be true because there's not a catalyst, but the genetic engineering, again, as soon as you're not selecting for something, it gets wonky and you don't notice when a certain molecule gets kind of broken inside the plant. And it's either being underproduced or overproduced, and you're no longer, it's not standing up and being counted. So, and what it is they end up with a lot of product and they're trying to find how to sell it to the public. So they start ignoring all the things the questions you ask about the weed. Which one's the most powerful? Is this one good? How's the bud structure? And they go, well, this one has a lot of terpenes in it. And you're going, yeah, but like they use terpenes to flavor Sunny D. And like blue raspberry Sour Patch Kids. And
Next time your mom is like, it's the same thing, you'd be like, no, Mom, Sunny D has terpenes.
Is it the real thing? Is it the original? Are you sure? You know, it's like, but so I'm not Weed Jesus, because that would be blasphemous, and then it ended up in the wing of the psych ward where they keep all the other people, the Messiah complex, the main character.
Is this marijuana? This looks like mint or something. I'm not even.
There is something called freak cannabis. If you type in freak cannabis, it looks like a totally different.
I'm afraid to do that. You know, we've had some problems on this show with censorship. Let me look it up, but
yeah, maybe behind the scenes. Rafa, were you trying to get a word in there, Andreas? I saw a finger here.
Oh, no, just because someone, I think, made a poignant comment that they're removing all the CBD in a lot of strains. It ruins the high, and I also think it increases the danger of potential mental issues if the THC is overdriven and there is no CBD left.
Why did you want me to look up freak cannabis? What was the point again?
Well, to show you that even with one guy's breeding experiment, again, so like, what's your definition?
That's a breeding experiment, all right.
That
yeah.
One. Did it say free? That's what showed up with free. It's on Twitter. If you type in freak genetics cannabis, maybe, I don't know. It's know.
These are all.
It's no longer a 5-pointed leaf. It's a 1-pointed serrated leaf. It looks more like a lilac fern than it does marijuana, but the bud structure is still there.
Oh yeah, like this stuff here.
Yeah, you could grow that in your front lawn and no one would be the wiser. You know.
Interesting. Does it still get you? Does it still get you all left of center? Let's say.
Guaranteed to become actually the new left of center is becoming a post-meta ironic anti-centrist, or just a centrist. And they're kind of the same thing because of horseshoe theory, but like.
Yeah, like so I don't think they are. Really, that's one of my big contentions is that centrists and heterodox are different. So. Like a centrist is someone who is just kind of doesn't care anymore about their extreme values. It's worse. They're just apathetic or something. Like, I don't really care. I don't really care about raw milk. I don't really care about war. I don't really care. I just pay my taxes. I moved to San Francisco, but I don't go to the parades. You know, But like a heterodox person is someone who's so X-wing. Doesn't matter if you're left wing or right wing, because you're so extremist that you get the other guys all of a sudden. So you could be an extreme fascist, and all of a sudden you're like, well, at least I understand the communists because they have AK-47s and they're fighting for their ideology, and I can get along with trans radical feminists because at least they're as extreme as I am. And the most extreme people, doesn't matter if they believe in exactly the opposite thing. In fact, that might help. They're very similar to each other. Extremists on either side are heterodox, right? Whereas,
and heterodox is a counterpoint to orthodox, right?
Hetero. So hetero.
In theory, there might be a European language speaking audience, and what we're doing is we're trying to expand their vocabulary.
So yeah, don't dox anybody, but like hetero means like two different things, and ortho means perfect, technically. So if you were to say like I'm orthorexic instead of anorexic, I'm orthorexic. It means I only eat perfect foods, right? So it's not that you're necessarily vegan or you're necessarily a carnivore, but maybe you only eat organic food or something that's perfect, right? So
let me break it down with a visual for the I'm a visual. So what you're saying is orthodoxy is a circle and it's either black or it's white, and centrism is a line down the middle and it's maybe blurred, and it's not yin and yang where it acknowledges the bit of black in the white or I don't know, because
so orthodoxy just means having correct doctrine. So like it's kind of a funny thing because if you have correct doctrine or perfect doctrine, who's to say? But you might believe your way of living is correct, and therefore it might be that you think it's only correct for you, or that there are different correct things for other people to do. But generally,
I would just compare it to like a Yankees and a Red Sox fan going at it about 2004, and they're going, yeah, but we should have won, and it's like, yeah, but we did, bro. So
yes, but okay, so
we can debate this till the cows come home.
So, but they could both
right because
you could have two different.
You should have won, but we did. So that's all.
That's a perfect example. Now include their girlfriends who don't give a damn about baseball, and now you have orthodoxy and heterodoxy.
No guy, self-respecting man in Boston is going to date a woman who does not. I mean, come on.
I mean,
you want to out yourself as an outsider.
The options get kind of slim.
Who's never been to Fenway? You know what I mean? What?
Fair, but like the point is that
your cousin.
The girlfriends would then look at their two boyfriends who are heterodox of each other and say, well, both of them, how about both girls like baseball, but they don't care. Like they don't care who wins so much because like they're friends, but they're from two different towns. but they love baseball because they love their boyfriends. Their boyfriends could be heterodox, and then they're saying, well, our boyfriends are both orthodox because they both believe in baseball and the passion of baseball, and they watch
Fenway was the last place it was acceptable to get blackout drunk with a bunch of your friends in public, and usually the women that would get the whole group kicked out, because as soon as one guy's gal or wife is getting escorted out, with a firm grip on her wrist by security saying, no, this isn't an option anymore, ma'am, and she's now throwing a bigger hissy fit, and there's the women that would get beyond the pale drunk and just be so into it, that they weren't having any of the attendant telling, there's kids in the aisle down there, stop dropping the F-bomb and like tossing it at, like cursing out the players on the Yankees, because this is family friendly Fenway. It's like having a Christian channel. So
Jesus loves baseball, I'm pretty sure. I don't know how he feels about Boston.
So no crypto tips though, because I got a few. See, that's the thing is, I do this all the time.
I think Chainlink is really going to be, there's a future in Chainlink in terms of actual practicality. I'm not talking about like things to buy. I'm just saying like obviously if you think like Bitcoin's always the thing to buy, but in terms of Chainlink or Tron or things like that, if you're looking for something that actually has some sort of a practical use, that's always cool. But I'm very interested. Let's all call this the crypto section of the show.
This is not financial advice. This is gambling.
You should buy baseball cards. No, I don't. Yeah, don't buy baseball cards unless they're from.
Well, apparently pretending to give financial advice or like even implying. But so if you guys would like, I could read out the name of like I have a friend who 24/7 is listening to crypto podcasts, and every like 6 to 8 weeks he tells me when there's a dip, and usually within 24 to 48 hours everything goes up 8 to 10%. And sometimes I listen to him, and sometimes I don't.
Buy Burka coin. Is that a thing? All right. Sorry. What? I think I met your friend actually. And
yeah, you did. Yeah, for sure.
Tell us what your friend has told you about crypto.
Well, again, I know that I'm not looking into it. I'm not trying to get on an accelerated course. But every time that I've heard him say a crypto token name, Cardano, or we get some fucking Sui, it's like, I can hear him saying it again and again. And then when I'm going back and just looking at the charts and just trying to say, if I had bought this, well, it just, keeping an eye on the market.
If you would spend more money on crypto than on Temu.
He doesn't miss though. He doesn't miss, and he's not there telling you that.
I'm sorry, but didn't you just say that anytime he tells you to get something or there's going to be a dip, then the prices are rising? Or did I get that wrong?
Oh, no. So he said there is a dip now. And usually people are calling him going, dude, you said if it went down 20% right away, don't worry, just wait 6 months. And it recovered, but now it's going down 10% again. And he goes, yeah, double down. And then again, people are they get scared, and they didn't get financial coaching the same way some people did. If you had a trust fund and when you were 18, you were managing it yourself. Again, I didn't have that, but a lot of people did. And it's called financial literacy. And my version of financial literacy was understanding how many more credit cards I had that I could max out.
About 1% of the population did.
So that I could buy some weed with cash, because you can't buy weed with a credit card, especially when it was like not legal. And like I was always kind of leveraging the
unless
future
it's like through an Amazon store where they've overpriced an item that's actually.
So did you go through your list yet?
Well, the answer is like, there's a subscription hotline. It's like a gambling thing. No, I'm just kidding. But so there's something called, and I cannot vouch for it. All I'm saying is that the last 20 times he pointed out a coin and said, no, you should buy that one. Again, you don't have to. So there's Jasmy, Jasmy. There's something called Brett,
celebrating Josh
Brett. There's something called Momo.
Wait. Read them all again. We're gonna go to the coin market cap, and you can. Now that we have a new membership, I just want to celebrate. Go ahead. Okay, so tell me again. Momo, Burka. What were they again?
Please insert coin. So Andreas shows the screen.
No. I'm just pulling up the my search history here. And I wrote them down on the back of an envelope. And like I said, we've got a couple back of the envelope calculations to do. Where again, the number might be wrong, but the goal is to try to figure out why.
Yeah, Link and Ada. I think Cardano, as you said, Cardano. How do you do it with the Boston?
In Boston, it's Cardano.
Cardano, yeah, Cardano, yeah, whatever.
It's like
Ada. Get your.
Did you invest in crypto before, Stefan?
So no, I never even, like, I was at companies that would match my 401k and retirement. And I just go, like, retirement, are you kidding? It's called like an engagement ring and then a wedding ring and then the wedding and then a honeymoon and then a down payment on a house. Like, who's fucking kidding who? I could put any amount of money anywhere. And like, it's not going to retirement yet. Like, thankfully I have a chance to like fail at 3 more careers maybe before I really give up on the whole money thing, or like, but so let me see if I go to market and then search in recent
so
history.
while you're looking,
okay.
I have 2 things to share.
There's something called, again, these are real short. I have nothing to say about them.
Okay, go on, please.
No. Well, it's just called bonk and flog, FOWG, and that's all I have to say about that. Sorry, go ahead.
Honestly, sounds like meme coins, but maybe worth checking out.
And they are, but he never misses, bro. So, and like,
oh my. Okay, so just to let everyone know,
well,
I mean, there is
that.
What you have to do is you have to go to you have to click between 1 day, 7 day, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, and then all. And you have to look at the trends. And
I'm looking.
And again, it is all a bunch of nonsense.
What was the other one besides bonk? You said bonk and
flog,
then
FOWG.
Flog. Your bonk and flog sound like 2 masturbatory. Flog like this.
These are penny stocks, and these ones that were circulating between anywhere between $3 and $30, and then FWOG, sir.
Here we got $1. Thank you.
And I guess what, Mr. X? No, Mr. X was my father. You must call me Andreas.
Indeed. So, sorry, Raphael, you were about to say.
Yeah, so I'll just say general PSA. Number 1, don't invest any money you can't afford to lose. Number 2, as simple as it sounds, buy low, sell high if you can. Number 3, these coins we're showing on screen right now, they're literally meme coins. They do not even claim or could hope to have any real world applicability. There's a different class of tokens that might have, or at the very least, they have a lot more usage and they're involved in some projects. For example, Theta should help with decentralized video streaming. There's a few other coins that should, and some even already do, serve some type of real world function. Most coins are simply maybe a means of exchange or maybe a store of value for some, if you do believe in a distributed accounting that is enabled by the blockchain. And other than that, there's only 2 things to say. Number 1, don't trust Andrew Tate and his crypto advice. He recently got exposed because someone could find his transaction on decentralized exchange and showed that a mere 36% of his overall trades were ever profitable, at least through that account. And he's always going around telling everyone how amazing he is. And then one other practical thing I can share from Austria, more or less. There is an Austrian crypto exchange called Bitpanda, and they, many years ago, had their own internal coin called BEST. And funnily enough, I had just a few dollars of that coin. I thought, well, why not have it? Because it would reduce your crypto fees, or you could pay your exchange fees with that coin. The exchange, by the way, is not particularly cheap or anything, but well, anyways. And I hear myself.
Okay, I'm just getting a pencil to write down notes so that I'm not interrupting.
And that coin was used internally for Bitpanda, and then Bitpanda actually grew a lot. And this was actually, in the very small portfolio that I held at that time, the very best performing coin, going up like 500%, which I would never have expected. But this is probably because the exchange itself kind of got pretty big. And just now, very recently, they migrated to a new coin, which they're also using internally. And again, this is no advice or anything. I'm just informing everyone. And that coin is called Vision Token, with the moniker or the abbreviation VSN. Supposedly also involving some other projects. And it is also, again, now the internal Bitpanda token you can use to reduce your fees within the system. I honestly didn't check on the back end, but I was just like, well, if the company itself is going to continue to perform well, that coin may also perform well or have growing usage in the future. Oh, sorry, Stefan, I muted you. Here.
It's all right.
Now,
all right.
Come again.
Thank you for, yes. I would say, and thank you for recognizing that I was even trying to talk. I would say, in order to respond to what you just presented, because what you did was you offered something into the middle of the space, and you said you said there's 2 reasons for that you shouldn't, or you should be cautious of this, and then you laid out 2 arguments. And so what we could do is evaluate each one of those things that you said and whether or not there's anything any of us can come up with that would, as a devil's advocate, not to be contrarian or antagonistic, but again, you put something on the middle of the table, we're going to shake it, see if it sticks, and then we're going to kind of reprocess. So you said there are two reasons you wouldn't trust cryptocurrency, and one, the premise is that it has no real world value, and then you said, and again, maybe we could wind it back or ask chat to help. The first one, do you recall?
Bonk, Flog.
No, it's not the name, because so what happened here? It's almost like the color of law, and I'm not accusing Rafa. I do this all the time.
What color is law?
We're taught to bullshit in order to attempt to like try on a pair of clothes to see if it fits. So what you're doing is you use a structure of logic, and the people that were kind of listening and trying to keep. So you sounded very sure of what you were saying, and you said there's two reasons why you don't, and each one was kind of lengthy enough for you. But you did the weave, and then at the end, though, you kind of recommended some of them because you might get a discount on fees or something. And like fees are something that burn me because I'm
really
tracking,
practical.
I'm
There's
tracking
certain kinds of coins that are more practical to use. For instance, Chainlink could replace Stripe, right? So most people are using Stripe payment for Steam. You know, at this point, they're using credit card payments, etc. And you can replace the entire MasterCard Visa system, or you even connect with MasterCard Visa system to purchase directly through, e-commerce, WooCommerce stores using Link. So that's a practical use for a coin. The same way Bitcoin was useful for purchasing weapons, drugs, and human trafficking. Now that Bitcoin is useful for everything else, but it started out as something that could compete in a market that was limited. You were talking about how you can't use a credit card like a Visa card to buy marijuana.
Who said that? Who said that?
You couldn't use cannabis
in Ohio, especially at the time. What's
I think it's true in most
Massachusetts,
places, right? Because credit card companies
Massachusetts is about. We were talking about loopholes, and what Massachusetts does is it identifies them and then it tries to jump through them, or at least that's like somewhat. So there is one dispensary that's part of a chain, and so it's not the only one. But out in Western Mass, there's a place where you can buy weed, but you can go and buy an ounce with their credit card, right? And they announce it and they advertise it in the journals and they talk about it online. And they said, it says it's against the rules. But we have a team of lawyers, and we're happy to stand behind the decisions we're making with our products. Thanks. And in the meantime, like, this is a civil matter. So, like, we'll see you in court. And in the meantime, they're selling weed with the credit card, and everyone else is going, no, but they just said, like, I need to jump it a little higher. And so they say jump it, and I say how high, and then they don't hurt me anymore, But like weed is legal.
There are issues with credit card companies directly. If a credit card company decides, for instance, that you're going to buy a game that has adult content in it, like Wicked Island or something like that, not just to name a specific game that's really interesting, but you might get your credit card stuck, or they're going to use credit cards as a way of verifying your age, right? Like, and not everyone over. There are kids, by the way, with their parents' credit cards.
No, but what's going to happen?
Their parents'
there's
going to
be it's called a class action lawsuit, and because of the medical misinformation about THCA, imagine if you got a refund for every dollar you ever spent at any dispensary that had sold you THCA weed under the premise that when you smoke it, it becomes medicinally and bioavailable. And it's not the dispensary paying. There's some sort of grant to, again, the industry is collapsing in a lot of places for a lot of reasons. And we're now talking about THCA. And again, we're not doing the weave now. We're doing the give our audience ADD along with us. But so this is for the sake of, like, again, if I were trying to run this like a business meeting, I would have a Prezi up, and every time we would be zooming in and out of the topics. And I want to revisit.
People are still using that. I worked for them for half a year. By the way.
I think that, but even if people aren't using it, I think that would be the most effective tool that I could use to try to help people control and telescope in and out of subjects, and not feel like you're losing detail or skipping over things. It's that you're going to revisit that, and then everyone's going to get time to speak. What you said might have been the most valid thing about crypto the whole time. And what we would do is try to pick it apart from every single angle. And at the end, none of us have anything invested in it. What we would do is try to look things up. And at the end, it's like, no, Rafa was exactly right. See, now everyone in the audience agrees with us because they went through the logic in real time research. That could be real. And we're going on. And it's like, look, if Andreas himself, or, I admit I don't know jack shit about most computer stuff. Like, you could interview all types of people. And if your conjecture is that it's not, it doesn't have any real world value, and someone says that it does, and now it's about why and what is real world value. And now again, you're going to philosophy and debate, and you're no longer engaging in a pissing contest about who's making the other person, who's getting a dig in, and who does the audience end up agreeing with. No, it all ends up on the paper, and then you keep shaking it. And even if at the end, again, it's like the scribe has some sort of like intellectual honesty, or we're and you, otherwise, again, this is like a geometric or a trigonometric proof. Eventually, you say that a square equals a triangle, and you've used a bunch of corollaries and proofs and references that seem, those are all valid individually, but you have to find the place where there's a mistake somehow. It's not that you added an 8 and a 5 and came up with.
So I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think, though, it is time for another breathing exercise. Yeah, let's do another.
Our musical interlude. Yeah, there we go.
Let's do the breathing. Okay, Raph, you're going to lead again.
Take a deep breath in through your nose. Once your lungs are filled, take a slow breath out through your nose. Then you may hold once you've exhaled for a few seconds. Supposedly, if you can hold your breath after having exhaled for about 2 minutes, you will be immortal. Don't try this at home. Take a slow breath in now through your nose. And slowly breathe out through your nose.
It does feel good.
I'm always
so I agree with what you're saying, though, because it's like there are coins that have value that's not technical. So we're talking about Austrian economic theory or practical use of coin, and we're giving you examples like, was Dragon token was Disney's coin, Libra was Facebook, but Meta now switched from Libra. So Libra coin went extremely low in value, but now you have DM, Carpe Diem, right? Carpe, some of them DMs, which is like almost 200 a coin. So Meta's coin is doing successfully well as well because they're intertrading coins, right? I think OBS Financial even has their own coin. BNB has its own trading coins. So if you believe in the Chinese economy, these are all coins that have financial tool sets for them. But that doesn't mean, and I agree with you, Stefan, that meme coins don't have value, because psychologically, a meme is super powerful.
Oh, see, now you just put words in my mouth. I don't even know if I agree with you, but what was my premise again? Was that meme coins
I thought that you were saying I thought you were saying meme coins do have value. They're just not necessarily technical values.
See, what I was trying to do was to be like the executive assistant whose job it is to write down the minutes of the meeting. And what I was doing was recording his opinion and then just out loud, because I know how to kind of play. It's a thought experiment that we're doing out loud. It's like an open card to hand. So I might be wrong about this, but the opposite of saying that meme coins have no value is to say that either have some value or a lot of value. And again, I'm not advocating for any one of these positions. I'm approaching this from a logical standpoint. And each time you get to like decision trees and stuff, and this is how you achieve consensus, not through influence, but through actual consensus. And again, if anyone's confused about why they disagree, again, you can walk them through it. But again, a lot of people are really neurotypical, and it's kind of the new age polite way of saying someone might be a little like a few bushels short of a peck, or not a great listener, maybe.
They might have not been a planned C-section or something like that.
Well, auditory processing is really a lot more complicated than I realized until I watched a 30-second YouTube video about a guy in China at a factory talking about like negotiating for price, and the guy trying to buy it spoke perfect, proper Chinese, but he could not understand someone speaking it for the life of him unless it was like a computer speaking. And the guy listening to him could not, for the life of him, understand someone speaking totally. He only understood slang Spanish, or it was Chinese, but he could speak perfect English in a way that was all the business words you would need to carry out negotiations and to talk about a scientific, factual matter of quantity and quality and procedures and contractual obligations. And so there's two translators in the room, and everyone thinks, is this a fucking practical joke? You speak Chinese and you speak English, and you're saying, but you understand the opposite language. And so they're taking the English and translating it into the version of Chinese that guy can understand. And then that guy will answer in English, but that guy needs it translated back. I mean, it was, yeah. So it doesn't
What's the square root of 69?
But like there are
Yeah.
orphans from Brazil who speak like 5. If they could just listen to someone talk and they can tell you what region of Brazil they're from based on the slang they're using, and they also speak Spanish and English, but they've been told they're like really slow and they have learning disabilities because they can't like understand one of the languages. When people are talking at it like this and it's like really high pressure, and they're going like, look, I speak like 7 languages, but understanding that specific one, like you got me. And then
Speaking
like that
of which,
person's like,
speaking
we're filling out
English,
the box on the
Stefan,
form now.
there
No,
are
this one,
people.
we got another one. You know?
There are a decent amount of like, look at this poor kid's like exhausted now. There are people that cannot speak English as quickly as you or interpret such rapid fire.
The tired eyes are meant to be seductive. You know, that's the
Imagine
marijuana.
Imagine that you're speaking to someone who's just learned 2 years of English in school, and it's their second or third language, right? And that we want to be understood by them. Then we
and that
need
you're
to
an age
enunciate
you're comparing
clearly.
yourself to your peers a lot. Because again, you have your whole life to go like take high school again and be really good at it if you actually fucking apply yourself for more than like 5 minutes at a fucking time.
You ever have that dream though? You ever have that nightmare?
But respect the process of always writing down your work, because you
That's
can do
such
it in
a
your head, but
nightmare
then you
when
get a
you
headache.
wake up.
And
You
you have
ever
like
like
10
wake up
pages
from a
of math
nightmare
to
when
do.
you were in school? Like it's the worst nightmare is when you go back to school in your dreams. You're like, it's almost worse than working through a dream. Is that you're back in school and you realize, what am I doing here? Like, how do I get out of here? And you have like your closet is there. The like the janitor's closet's filled with all of your shirts and everything. You just can't escape. I feel like that's the biggest nightmare. That's worse than like the long haul that keeps stretching as you run. Is just being in school with all these. I don't like it.
But there's certainty and truth, and then there's faith. You know, and I guess you've been having some great conversations about God. Let me see what my notes say here, because we got into like the money thing and the crypto, and like that took way too much time. God, I feel dirty. You know? I need to put my. It's not a keepa, but no. So
keep your keepa on, bro.
In order to kind of try to strive back towards, because Rafa set such a great tone with the first half of the last podcast, and like if I had come on again, I'm not coming on rearing to go again. I'm trying to now. We're playing jump rope, and I've got to watch it, and I can hear that it's not as listenable. And even though, oh, look at the light and me flashy object. Look, I'm on camera, everybody. No. So, in order to like keep the audience in mind, and not without breaking the fourth, do I have permission to read that Kipling poem? Is that
Please do. You should wear a kippa while you read your Kipling.
And you know, there's the Dennis Leary song "Asshole," which is pretty hilarious too, and then there's an Alex Jones. So what I also, and then after this, you know, because it's pretty also narcissistic to just ask to like claim the mic. But so what I did when you guys were talking, each topic you covered, it's like if I were on air, it's not that I'm providing a clarification, but it's called doing the weave. And instead of it being this open-ended Zoom, again, think about Prezi, where you're either telescoping in or out and you're orienting your audience to where the hell in space and time you are and what the fuck you're talking about. Because we're some like far out dudes most of the time. And some people wonder how we're, no, but the goal is to get people to help understand what it is we're trying to communicate. And that's where infographics come in. And ideally with no alphanumeric data or information, with it's like an IKEA drawing where you can and by the way, l'chaim, cheers, being fancy for a second. So the infographic, and that's a real art form in and of itself, and it's like it doesn't read right, it doesn't read right, and we're passing it back and forth, and all of a sudden Andreas draws like one squiggle on here and changes the background color a little bit to create more contrast, and now boom, the concept that we're trying to communicate in this 8.5 by 11 area now jumps off the page, and I don't have to talk for 8 minutes and repeat myself ever again about that. All I have to do is like send someone that image, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess I see what you're talking about, right?
Got it.
So whether it's a film or a documentary, or even if we work for 10 hours and I'm paying for your time to help me again just distill my idea into something that at least makes sense on its own and stands alone, even if the end product is an infographic, that would be great, because when I make presentations about decarboxylation, I don't have to read people the fucking riot act. I can just pretty much point to the diagram, and then other people can go help spread the message about proper medical tests that are done.
Did you
when
really have
using,
an infographic
cannabis.
or you have a QR code? What are you looking at again? You have a flashcard set up for the song "I'm an Asshole" by Dennis Leary. There's like a whole card.
No, I was
for
gonna
that.
just read it, and I was actually gonna sing it, but like that's a longer song. So again, we'll save that for like 40 minutes from now towards the end, or I got to jump in somewhere. But so like, right, you said you met an Amish guy recently in 2000. You said you met an Amish guy in 2000.
Topically speaking,
but I'm
I
like,
guess
so
25 years
did
ago
you
is
meet an
recently.
Amish guy in 2000? Like recently, like you met? It was like last week, and you met an Amish guy in 2000. And again, this is me making a dad joke, and I'm like, it sounds like I'm trying to parse semantics or like poke fun at you, but I'm just trying to like
Or
be
just
funny.
figuring out if I am traveling through time.
And this is the kind of shit. This is why I wrote it down first, and like that's why you didn't have me on to interrupt, because that's not really all that funny and or constructive. It doesn't make it more listenable, but at least we're trying to orient and zoom in and zoom out, and eventually it can be total nonsense. And I'm totally for like leaning away from trying to actually make it into something, you know. But so then let's see what other notes. So you were talking about farmer strength and being stupid strong, right? And then there's
post right here.
Do you remember that?
THCA. Well, just really quickly. THCA found in raw cannabis, non-psychoactive. Well, this is an infographic. I think you would like. You like infographics. Here's a THCA.
Yeah, and this is where my chicken analogy would come in. And every time you saw this, you would go, yeah, like when people say this, they're just repeating something that they like heard one time. And what I'm doing is I could explain to you for literally 4 days. I could not stop talking, or I could start recording now.
A picture's worth 1,000 words. So
and explain to you why this
will make it into a chicken nugget.
This is what like. This is the diagram from It's Sunny in Philadelphia, where it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. And step 1 is like idea. And step 2 is question mark. And step 3 is like lots of money, you know? That's what this fucking is, okay, bro?
So it's not your fault. If you get breaded like, THCA,
I'm so done with even the energy that I feel from like the 3 years of not having access to the medicine that like really helps me.
Bogart's like,
so I just want to make an infographic
on right now, and I'm terrified. We're stressing him out.
No.
Amish Paradise. Let me just like say that Amish kid loved Weird Al Yankovic's Amish Paradise. It's one of his favorite songs. Like I like the rap music. You know that song Amish Paradise? That's a tune. You know, that's a good jam. That one, just the way it bumps. You know, and like I think he really represents us well. But you know, not everyone's always just churning butter all the time. You know, it was pretty.
But see, this is why you both need to be in the boardroom. If I'm ever going to successfully lead an hours-long meeting or like days-long set of me, because what I heard you say is that what I heard you say is that Stefan, you sound agitated, and even if I'm not, because again, I'm not bottling it up. It's the salty Boston. It's a variety of factors, and the fact that I've only found 2 or 3 people that agree with me, and they're not local enough to like be. It's like celebration time right now. You know, there was a time where the Rosses formed a religion, and the premise was, dude, like Jesus is fucking alive again right now. He got reincarnated, and his name is this. And like the prophecy said that this was going to happen, and then this was going to happen, and then he was going to claim these titles and open these seals and these scrolls, and like the family of King David and King Solomon reemerged. And, you know, Jesus was in that lineage too, it turns out. And 275 generations later, there's this guy, and he's the guy who, like, kept Hitler out of Africa. So, like...
You think, well, he did. Do you think Haile Selassie
people say when he showed up in Jamaica, he had stigmata on his hands, but he never claimed to be Jesus. Just like Jesus back in the day, he never claimed any type of religiosity.
He's like, I'm Jeff. Yeah, no, I'm not that
Imagine the exciting news. People are so excited. Hey, have you heard the good news about Jesus, dude? And like that really helps people actually a lot. And when there's some pretty fucking difficult search, but imagine the news was like, no, I know like Jesus, the whole Jesus thing and the whole, and like no, but he's like fucking alive again. Like right now, we could go like get on a boat, and they would wait on the beach to do these like repatriation things. And I mean, what a time, dude! Imagine having that. Like, and it turns out God's black, by the way.
Yeah, which is pretty.
And
sweet.
Like, you know how I know it's true is they say it's like. The Babylon newspaper say so. I the children say so. So it must be so.
So what do you think? Do you think Haile Selassie was at least some sort of messianic holy figure that was here to help liberate and bring utopia, even though he was killed and eventually?
The question you need to be asking: is it a hate crime if when someone goes, "Hey, dude, I like your dreads," and they're like got like Caribbean stuff, and I go, "Ja live," because like
how is that a hate crime? You're the most. If it might be like a irritation crime. He's like, someone might be like, hey man, that irritates me, but clearly you're not full of hate, right? Like if they hate you, then isn't that the crime? Because aren't you just this
the biggest change of cutting them off the first time and then reattach? It's like the difference in the number of people with tattoos and piercings and or from Caribbean cultures that just when they walk by you, they're just like, fuck yeah, dude, man. At least fucking someone knows what they're fucking doing around you. And like you're like, oh, all right, and you just get love wherever you go. And it's always just like this, all right, and they're like really excited to get like to show you they're like getting in your bubble to show you how much they love you and that like no, oh, cool. And then as soon as you cut them off, you're just I didn't exist. And it was like walk right. And those people aren't noticing me because they think I'm handsome or that, it's like the part of growing them out at first was they were just growing outwards and I learned to live from the inside out. And when I walked into the room of my peers growing up or friend, I stopped thinking about what are they seeing when they look at me and putting gel in my hair and always worrying if it got laid down there. And I let it go and I learned to live from the inside out instead of the outside in. So that was like the humbling part where you let go of vanity. And then it becomes a vanity project eventually, but
You think that Jesus had dreadlocks, right? Because it's the vow of the Nazarite. So of course he had to. Like that's what it means to be.
Which Jesus? Again, there were a lot of Jesuses, dude.
Not the Roman one,
Andreas,
not the 11th century animal trail one.
We did a stream on 9/11, and your whole premise was, but which one? And you pulled up the Wikipedia page, and you were like, see, on 9/11, and this year, again, because like a lot more people died on this one. It was like a laundry list. And so, we spent like 20 minutes on that, on 9/11, with you just continuing to lean in, and I'm going, and I honestly did not know that, but like you had that ready to pull up, and it was like, that's what needs to be in the next zeitgeist. And speaking of zeitgeist,
East Coasties don't like
any ideas? So again, I want something that says like hemp green. What was it? The big lie. Some big green hemp lie. And it's going to be a new word, Rafa. You're going to invent it, and then it's going to just like we're going to call it the Manuela effect instead of the Mandela effect. And people will say, no, it's called the Mandela effect. And you say, no, that's just a Manuela effect. Because before, the way that they make the neurodivergent kid seem weird at the party is you go watch this, ask him what the Mandela effect is, and what you're going to do is like basically recite chapter and verse, like an entire paragraph's worth of information, and then check in with people, and you can have like 3 follow-up but like most people think like a couple words at a time, and other people wake up speaking full sentences, whether it's out loud. Some people have no inner monologue. It doesn't mean they're bad people, or that some people like that don't have the alphanumeric imprintation. They can look at their herd of goats and they know exactly if there's 48 or 49 of them and which one's missing in like 0.8 seconds. And we can't do that because our brain is, since we can't, I personally can't look at a word in English and not kind of already read it. I can't just retranslate that into if I take enough like drugs or, look at it upside down, maybe it just becomes a bunch of lines and squiggles. But
did you like
comments?
The turtle one?
So this is why I left a roadmap, because if I bring up a subject, the goal is to at least be able to do the weave back to something. So they were talking about retard strength, which again, the word retard is not all that, but so it's because they actually tested the steroids originally on people that were feeble, including people with Down syndrome or
so they like
muscular dystrophy. Creatine, the way that they know bodybuilders aren't taking like way too much creatine that'll kill you, might give you a kidney stone, but the doses that they give to people with muscular dystrophy are 100 times what bodybuilders take. And creatine is a protein that's found, or is a molecule that's found only in skeletal muscle of animals with red meat.
So you want to eat a lot of creatine if you're vegan? Is that what you're saying?
Well, but they say cognitive functioning can be greatly improved within 6 to 10 days of starting to supplement with, and again, the doses in the study were the types of doses that they were giving to people with muscular dystrophy. So it was like eating an entire carton of like creatine every day, maybe even injecting it. And so again, creatine itself is like almost seems like vitamin C. It's one of these substances where you really like it can kill you if a bucket of it, like really big, like barrel of it fell on your head. Then like yes, vitamin C can kill you, but like otherwise you're just gonna pee it out. It's,
Dang.
So there, and that's about all I have to say about that. No, but no, I'm just
so kidding. So we're not giving medical advice, but creatine is interesting, and maybe people should look into creatine.
So where did you say Theo Von was from? So anyone who's like an OG and listened to the last one, so just to do the thread. So where Where did you say?
I think he's Polish, right? Isn't he like a Polish royal?
Well, my understanding
is
his dad is like Venezuelan or Nicaraguan and is like half Native American or something, but that could always just be.
Yeah, he's from the
People have a set of jokes
Kurnatowski family. He's from the Kurnatowski's Lachta, which are the royal house of nobility of Poland. So this is his family crest with the peacock feathers in this sort of crescent moon, yellow banana boat kind of thing going on.
Faceless knight.
And his Theo von, so his dad was like 80 when he was 10.
I think his dad was like 70 or.
And he was on Road Rules. He was not only on the original Road Rules and like, you know how the modern Bravo, it's the 90 Day Fiance, and then there's the reaction show, and then literally the reaction show to the reaction show, and then like literally the reaction show to the reaction show to the reaction show. Not even joking, because then the drama's unfolding and there's updates and talk about content that will rot your soul and your brain.
His family maintained land holdings in Bizdrojevo, Duzhina, Gojizin, Kotoyo.
So again, just to do the weave, so it doesn't sound like I'm just talking into space about random subjects. So again, what we were talking about was his name was like Theo von, and we were talking about where he was from. And again, if I were just pointing, and you could like also building the same map, we can like coming back to that too. It's called doing the weave. But so and then he was on Road Rules at age like 20, and then like kept coming back for all the shows. And you know, one of the guys that did that actually literally became the Miz, and like the WWE is one of these like continuating shows where there's no such thing as faking the funk. And just because you're a big fan from the time you're little, you know, some of these guys are for real. And Theo von is the quickest joke in the West. If you want that guy to turn your brain into a pretzel and make you giggle when you're in a bad mood, he
makes you laugh.
I mean, his type of humor demonstrates that he is on top of the situation in such a way where he's positioning himself to go, you know, the Harry Potter one, and he goes ridiculoso. And if you're paying attention to what he's saying,
maybe I haven't given him enough credit. I don't know. I haven't really, you know, like I should give him a chance. Maybe, I don't know. I liked his Amish interview, but I've been, you know, I'm always sketched out by that kind of, you know, elite reptiles. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah,
well, so he's part of a comedy troupe that's part of someone's healing process, and it was major. His name is Bobby Lee, and Theo von's one of his close. And Bobby Lee's been on Hawaii 5-0 and a bunch of other, you know, he was on Mad TV but so they would oftentimes, you know, Bobby Lee would go on all their podcasts and he would like kind of make a joke. He's like, yeah, that kind of reminds me of the time that like I got molested and raped when I was like 10, and like the host doesn't know what to do other than awkwardly laugh along with you because he's been making you laugh the whole time. And then he goes, why are you laughing, dude?
Is Bobby Lee funny? Bobby Lee freaks me out kind of too.
Well, like, is that funny? And then am I laughing because Bobby Lee called Theo von out on like, and like, oh, he went up to him, but then you're like actually having a profound conversation, and then you're watching this man progress, and he keeps telling this joke. You know, when he goes on the podcast, he's gonna fucking nail them.
Am I just jealous because...
And then he goes, you know, do you know that I was like fucking molested a lot when I was little, and like people took advantage of me, and I didn't know my ass from my elbow, but like a lot of adults did a lot of weird shit to me, and then like I don't like sometimes I said I was gay, or I thought I was gay, and like he make a joke like, well, if you have a dick in your mouth, does that mean you're gay? And it's like, well, like, did you choose to have a dick in your mouth? Were you able to make that decision at that age if you want? And like those are all conversations that like a lot of people have with their therapist or don't. But
is it just that like I'm from a royal family and that I already have a Korean friend, and so I'm jealous because we need to push them off the wall. We need to push those bricks out of the wall so I can fit my bricks in the wall. Is that?
And he shares his recovery journey. No, he's one of the. He'd be dead right now, and so would Theo von because they would have overdosed on all the good drugs that are available in America. But they have each other, you know. And it's
a good
really
thing that they're getting rid of all the good drugs in America.
Most other Abbott and Costello routines, again, you end up with these guys who have insurance policies against each other because no one else could. They're an A and B act. It's like Rhett and Link. And they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars together. But like on one hand, or like Dude Perfect, you know, Dude Perfect on YouTube. No, Dude Perfect, one of the biggest YouTube channels. It's just 5 guys that started doing trick shots, and now they like built stadiums and they fill stadiums doing trick shots live.
Dude Perfect, it's called trick shots.
They only have like 45. They only have like more followers.
61.5 million.
And that's just their channel. They've been most of their content.
Why is my life so hard when all you got to do? Why am I wasting my time trying to help people? Why don't I just shoot basketball? What?
They do live events
people
now.
Care about more than me? Ah, this hurts. Oh man, I could do this. I guess is that
But
what
so
I'm
when
supposed
the
to
first
do? I feel
podcast,
like that would be like blowing people.
the first time
from
you brought
like,
me on, and again, this is also the first time I've ever been on because we're never the same. But I said I'm a YouTube head, and it was kind of like a reference to being a pothead. But if you're talking about a master
Oh
user
yeah.
of a platform and someone who's just through a Sigma approach, I've logged probably more hours and just I can't. My brain sorts things and it categorizes them into subjects. And was it Mendel or no, there was some guy who was the first guy to do family trees, and he didn't do evolution. It was like hundreds of years before that, but he at least recognized that there was a flow of features and stuff. And there was a Latin phrase that said, "God creates, and man identifies or organizes," depending on how you translate it. And that's not true for everybody. Again, some people have no inner monologue. Um, again, I think I started weed with the hopes that like I'd shave a few IQ points, but unfortunately, I think it's probably the reason that I almost have an encyclopedic memory about everything.
Doesn't that suck? Yeah, right. They told
Well,
you it was supposed to like calm you down, and instead it just makes you like hyper
it's called
intense and
neuroplasticity, and you
remember
teach your
everything. Yeah.
brain to bypass the short-term memory because you can't rely on that, can you? You're playing pool. Are you stripes or solids? And instead, instead of doing a mnemonic, it's called a memory palace. And instead you're living in your memory palace all the time, and you have access to all that information. And it's like when you're getting ready for a test and there's going to be 15 questions on a variety of subjects, and you've practiced word types, and so you wake up in the morning and you might look at them all again, and you have to tell yourself, yeah, no, that's one memory palace. And when I was there, I remember I was really stressed because I know I have to know exactly how to do that, but just with different numbers and maybe a trick thrown in on the test. And then there's a separate memory. And so when when incorporating things into your long-term memory by accident, permanently on purpose, because you're bypassing the short-term memory because you took the bamboozle herb. And the bamboozle herb, again, makes you look like you should be almost incoherently incapacitated, but in fact, you can speak in perfect fucking English or like any other number of languages and perform any number of complicated tasks that require coordination and timing, and you don't even miss a beat. Unlike other intoxicants that suppress the central nervous system or any other types of other, cardiovascular, and it's called the cannabinoid system. And maybe if you want to look something up again to prove it, there's like 2 new organ systems that we've discovered in the last 30 years. And now they've been cutting people open for like a little while now. But there's some like organ that goes all the way throughout the stomach cavity, and like science now agrees, mainstream academia, not that, like I'm appealing to authority, but when it's like, no, the doctors know what they're talking about. Going 15 years ago, they discovered a new organ or something in the belly.
A brand new human organ, the salivary glands. Is that right?
No, that's not the exciting one, but that's also probably true.
And
I can look it up too.
The interstitium.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I was going to call it the duodenum, or what's the word for the taint? What's the medical term for the taint? Is the Oh, come on. Neither of you know that? I'm so disappointed in you, gentlemen.
I'm so going to move the screen to a lower screen. Oh, yeah.
But I love you, Andreas. I love you, Andreas, for always being the guy that like takes it upon himself to look it up. I think there was one time where I sarcastically, we were doing this back, and I go, but it's not your job to look it up. It sounded like I was
who's going to do it, Stefan? Who's going to do it?
And you're such a great host. And it's so ridiculous that I'm not inviting you on my channel and saying, are you available at this time? And instead we do this dance, and I'm sure other people, again, they want to get upset that you're not picking a time or that you might miss it. And again, it's like, if I'm at all concerned about getting FaceTime with Andreas, if I started a channel, just like you did with Blake, you'll go on for a couple hours and you'll do the first video. Episode 1 has like a guest appearance by Andreas. And like, maybe I do an episode 2. I should do 100 of them and listen to myself and get my yucks.
You should do 100 TikTok video. You should do 200 TikTok videos.
The problem is anyone else on camera with me in the same room, I just need to learn to be dynamic with myself. And, I'm a high energy guy. I can't get away from myself. How do you think I feel? But I think I've studied different methodologies out there of media production. And it's a matter of, again, when it's video production, it's storyboarding and scripting. It's real simple. And then you can sometimes even skip all that and just go right to how many seconds are you trying to fill and how do you get that footage, and using AI to create those shots instead of like over engineering. But if you're practicing to make a whole ass movie one day, then you might as well kind of Da Vinci coding it. That's what I call it. It's like you're overthinking the shit out of it. You're sciencing the shit out of like the process of cutting your toenails, because Yeah. It's an exercise. Like I said, you learn certain things in school to learn to submit to authority, because you end up proving yourself to yourself, and then you have more faith in yourself. So to bring this back to more of a Xirtus podcast, like National Enquirer style, have you seen Miley Cyrus's face lately?
Yeah, I don't know how many of those are real though, right? Like, did she really get that?
And is it filler, or is it like?
It's the opposite, where they suck the fat out of the cheeks. That's what they were saying, but I don't know if it's real, because I've seen some.
Now, Lionel Messi gets HGH for free, but there was a story of a local kid who got their face smashed playing sports, and then when you get reconstructive facial surgery when you're young, and it messes up the growth plates, and there's screws, and as you age, you get to like kind of pick your face, and like if they don't continue to provide facial reconstructive surgery of very, and like ideally it's the same surgeon, because like he was in there, same team, and it's like some people end up getting plastic surgery throughout their life, or their youth at least, even in adolescence, kind of for free, maybe because it's continued services, because otherwise like this part of their face isn't going to grow very much, because you broke the growth plates when it shattered, you know.
What's the name of the actress from
one
Wednesday?
of these Ripley's Believe It or Not, you know. Again, we got to name the segments, and then at least there's some context to it. It was real-time research.
Jenna Ortega, right? Jenna Ortega, you know all this already. You guys are, I mean, speaking of the zeitgeist things, cheek, what's it called? Cheek surgery. I forget what it's called. There's this whole thing where they're like sucking up the fat out of the cheeks, which is, whoa, that's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, woo.
What's it called again? Yeah, the bi-chat.
Phallus envy? Oh no, that's not what you were talking about.
Bi-chat.
Did you like my response though? I said phallus envy, because you like paused over and went, whoa. You said, what's that? Yeah, phallus envy.
No, I mean, it's like I just been there, like that's like I identify with that. That's what
I'm a grower, not a shower.
I mean,
it's an evolutionary advantage
in the winter.
Because like young monkeys, when they fight of most species, you know what they do when they fight, and they're like just that age where they're actually going to start hurting each other. They rip each other's dicks off. Most of the time.
If you do this to your face, Stefan, if you do this to your face, because
it's
what?
Reversible. The other thing is, if it's filler and is it inflatable,
no, it's the opposite of filler. It's the you need filler if you do this. If you get the bichattal cheek fat removed, then then your face looks all what's the other one? Bi-chat cheek. What's her name again? We just said her a second ago. Miley Cyrus. She's got that too. That's what everyone's talking about now. I'm so scared. I should be really more careful about.
But so it's called the it factor.
Chats on X.
The concept, Rafa. You've heard of the it factor, because like, and you guys to weave back to what you were saying about fans versus what.
This is the one, but like I don't know if this is real or not, right? Like I wasn't sure. I mean, it's possible that she like plucked her eyebrows off completely and then like had bi-chat cheek fat removal. I mean, it's possible.
There we go. See, that's what I was.
That's what people look like when they get to about 30 and they smoke every day, all the time, and drink all the time, and heroin.
Imagine either that's your daughter or the woman you loved the most, and then eventually your confidence and faith in reality and the amount of drugs you've taken and the amount of sleep you've missed, you kind of are unsure if anyone is who you think or say they are, and then even the woman that you love the most, and maybe even you think you had kids with, you're like, I really have no way of confirming whether or not that's a body double or not. And again, how many secrets do you have? What's your secret password with this person? And then it's almost like a Turing test for humans, where you realize, it's like in the movie Hook. It really is you, Peter. And they go up and they open the wrinkles on the side of his eyes, and that's how they fucking know it's him. And otherwise, it's like, why? What are we trying? I mean, aging. Granted, men have the luxury of aging more gracefully, perhaps. So there's this idea of flip mode squad, like Busta Rhymes.
Right? A lot of those women don't age like that, though. That's the thing. It seems like people that live fast,
we are flipping mode.
Live young, die hard, or whatever that pop song is. It's like if you get too much sunlight, you can screw up your skin.
It's a musical interlude.
Take drugs,
it'd be great if that song just came on, right? But
which one did you want?
You said live hard, die young, bad girls do it well. Isn't that what you were talking about? I mean, this is a little fucking cheesier than like a bass, like, as soon as you said "live hard, die," you know that song slaps, as the kids say. Dude, that song fucking slaps.
Like that one. Oh, pretty good.
But so there was something about being a fan, and I had it like actually mapped out here. I'm just gonna see if I. But so there's a difference. I'm definitely not a fan because I'm either a stan or a fanboy, or a fan is like an insult to the amount of that I like love my parasocial relationship with this, or like, and then actually also social relationship. You know, it'd be a lot more dysfunctional if I was just chatting. And even if you read my chats, like the endorphin and like the positive feedback loop of like feeling like I'm engaging in social, non-judgmental social interaction where I can make rude jokes. So they're not interpreted as an insult at that person. It's like offering it into the space because like someone's got to make that terrible joke, right? Whether it's a dad joke or something that's like way too inappropriate to even say out loud, and I get to type it in, and then like, you know, sometimes even in chat, someone just being like, "Nice one, Stefan," you know, score.
Nice one, Stefan. Some people, UGM just broke down my door. It happens, you know. I think someone said that they didn't understand you're coherent, and I was just going to argue it's like a car. You have to be a very fast mind to keep up with what's going on here. But if you know exactly what he said 6 minutes ago and 20 minutes ago and 2 seconds ago, you can understand where he's going. It's just moving so fast that there's a lot of total recall required. Just in the
and that's why the Prezi, that's why having a visual aid that's a living real-time infographic that uses AI to in real time record the conversation, and there's like a separate panel that the audience is pulling up maybe on a separate website that is co-streaming kind of with in real time the conversation. And so then if you make a comment, you can like attach it to a certain, you might have to zoom all the way in through like 6 fractal branches to get to it's like, you guys made a joke about this. Did you know that this was in someone's comedy special? And then they like, this was the addition to the joke. And you're just trying to create a wiki of common information that is appreciated and understood by the same people. And before Wikipedia was all that popular, that was how my brother started Etsy. He got 4 guys to do a text wiki. And if instead we update that formula and make that wiki, we capture our psychedelic conversations. Again, psychedelic means mind expansion. And instead of chaos leading to dissolution or dissociation or confusion and then frustration because there's no tangible progress. No. The progress is that the chart's growing. And when I sit down with the chart for a while, I'm able to translate that then into, and this was my job as an architect too, is to take a building and to turn it into a series of ordered outlines where you have like part 1, and then you have A, and then you have number 1, and then little a, and then I, and then there's just like nesting paragraphs. In everything, you have title headings, and everything that is talked about is grouped into some sort of coherence. And you know, the way buildings get built, even by they put a big piece of paper on the wall and they draw a chart. And it's just like a schedule, and like things have to get done by this time. And that means you have to figure out how to get it done by like over here. And it's like a spatial thing. And then you like figure out where you are on that giant 4-dimensional like graph of the building being built, even though you've never built a building. And you're just pretty sure that if you just make sure that you do the planning and schedule it, and then like, sure, there might be glitches and you extend the schedule, but it's not as hard as it, you know, we all need a wife and a secretary and an intern and an executive assistant, but instead we have
mandated.
We have people that we're each other's minions. You know, it's like, are we going to use the power for good or for evil? Is the question.
Why not both?
And what's the definition thereof?
Music for you, the Bliss album, PM Dawn. You have found your black soulmate. I cried when midnight sighs. I drop in music form.
Oh, midnight. If he's talking about the guy named Vaughn Benjamin and his brother, when they sung and harmonized, there was a band called Midnight, and it was just haunting. But so you see how, if I'm physically in the room, especially, this is not a digital board meeting. No, you two definitely have to be in the room. And like, you have a code word that's macaroni, and you just tap me on the shoulder, and I'm instantly silent and like eating ice cream. And so if everyone's like worried that the boss is upset, no, the boss is just excited to communicate all the things that he like knows, because he's pretty sure that if he communicates well enough, you guys can fucking do that shit. Now, otherwise, I'm just like some guy who has these ideas in his head and like grows old, and it's like, too bad nobody would listen, but that's not true.
So what kind of company is this gonna be?
I mean, oh, sorry, what was the question?
what kind of company are you going to be the CEO of? I'm curious.
So there's some, it's like the idea of an umbrella corp. And again, I literally have this mapped out and I've shared pictures of
If
it
your brother
online.
had 4 guys who made
On a
Etsy,
whiteboard.
and the guy with 5 guys made hamburgers, what would you do?
It's called an incubate process, and you use a codex to record the incubate and to push it along. And there's like this dashboard where you put all it's like all the ideas, and then you shake it with the incubate process. And what we're not abiding by in this conversation is the stillness. Every 20 seconds, again, what you're doing is you're making lists about all the relevant information about this and the contact, who you're going to follow up with. And again, it's getting the information down, literally scribbling it or typing it. It's easier if you type it the first time, but I do it with a hammer and chisel if I could. And what I want to do is make a board game out of this. So instead of because there's so many organization apps and task apps, I'm not reinventing the wheel and claiming my system's better. I'm just creating something that is going to be engaging for me. And the game pieces are things that you stack according, and like I said, you rank it by priority. Is it short-term, long-term, medium-term, high priority? And then is it going to take a long? So you identify what's called low-hanging fruit. And if you're managing large projects and you have someone who's not really trained in and there's simple tasks, what you do is the first thing is you walk around and you identify the low-hanging fruit and you assign it to the junior guy. And it feels like he's doing bitch work, but he's at least busy all the day. And everyone else is sitting around going, I'm pretty sure it's only going to take me to do the tiles like 2 hours, but I have to wait till this finishes. So you're like drinking beer all day and like you get your job done and you get paid for the day, but the younger intern is pretty sure he's useful because he's doing all the bitch work, but that's because there's a manager there who's sorting all the tasks and prioritizing them in space and time and allocating resources to accomplish those tasks. And knowing that you're not doing this because you're all excited about it, you're doing it because you're all getting paid for the hours and minutes that you're putting into this. And the reward is that at the end, even when the Kickstarter money or the GoFundMe or the self-funding runs out, we still push it over the finish line one way the fucking or other, and then we all love each other.
So strawberries.
Yeah.
Because strawberries they did a study and they found that the lowest hanging fruit in the world are actually strawberries.
I forget if the advice was do a running series if you want to hate your friends, and if you want to like get closer with your friends, do a movie. Or it could have been the other way around. I forget what the advice was, but it was from the guy who made Mallrats. He's almost on YouTube all the time.
Smith?
Thank you.
We just watched a bunch of Kevin Smith.
We
watched his conversation about Prince working with him, right?
See, if you practice bringing on a guest and controlling the chaos, and it's like, again, we're doing segments, and then there's a framework with which Kevin James knows exactly how he's going to hop into the little game of whether it's even Hollywood Squares or and what it is, we're doing our zany thing, and then it's like, well, we're all giving our hot take on it. There's sports channels. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think? And then they're like getting points for making good, interesting arguments about certain things. And we got to gamify the viewing for the audience's sake, because this is plenty fun for us, or like, not that it's like fun, but it's not like harmful. Whereas again, other people are getting ADD. We're teaching them, their brains, how to operate in this way.
It's okay. If you have ADD, you're going to be fine.
Anything. But like, again, I think all of us in our mind now are building that kind of prezi, and we're all kind of acknowledging that we do that automatically. And it's called the neuro-linguistic processing and auditory learning. And whether you're learning it or like able to, again, assemble 1,000 words and be like, I think I get what that guy's saying. As opposed, like, I couldn't really distill it or repeat it, but that's why you put it down on paper, and then you agree about whether or not that's a sufficient or correct way to say at least what I was saying. Not that whether that's true or not, but at least is that what his opinion is about that and why.
So breathing exercise or a musical interlude time?
I say music.
Okay, real quick. We'll do it.
And breathing. How about that? That was a false choice. That's what I want to say. Is this Fox News?
Yeah. I'm a woke leftist communist.
George Bush, great president or greatest president?
The world, make it all fair and square. No more private property. We're all gonna share. Call me PC, cause I'm politically correct. Using words like weapons, gotta show respect. Manipulate the language, control the narrative. Make you question everything, make you wanna live. We'll know nothing and be happy. That's the goal. No more greed, no more power.
Take us to church.
World peace, God for share, we'll make it right. In the name of justice,
we'll shine the light.
Cool. Nice.
So I never read one of those poems. So this is a fun one by someone named Hi-Rez, and this one's only like a 4-line limerick. It goes like this, and it incorporates the young kids lingo, and then the eternal question of not who started the fire because we didn't light it, but it goes like this. It goes, who decides what is real and what is cap? No, who decides what is fake and what is fact? They censor someone that you hate and then you clap, but they're coming for you next. It's a trap. So for those boomers and zoomers out there who don't know what the word cap means, this is one of those, like, if A is to B, like B is to C, or like C is to D, then what is D to E? So the word cap. So who decides what is real and what is cap? And who decides what is fake and what is fact? And what, there's an inversion there. And you're supposed to understand those two words at the end of the sentences are opposites. So cap means false or not true, correct? Bullshit. Bishop, as they say in some places.
Capped. Right, it's cap. Is it capped like past tense or CAP? Just CAP.
You can like cap something and then you can say it's capped. It's been like past tense. But no, if you say, yo, man, I know you say that the Yankees were better than the Red Sox in 2004. That's fine. You can say that till the cows come home. But the fact of the matter is the Red Sox beat them that year. And so what you're saying is all cap. It's all bullshit.
That's cap.
And then, right. If someone, and then I'm running something by you. And it's like, no. Like, I really agreed with this. But you're going, no, you're right. It's wrong. That dude's wrong. Shit's cap. As opposed to bet, which is more of like a positive affirmation that, yeah, whatever that person's talking about, like, I'll double down on it. You know?
Really? Because I thought bet could also mean like it's a bet. So like, couldn't you also use bet to mean I'm skeptical? Like, couldn't you say like instead of indubitably or that's dubious, you could just use bet for either indubitably or dubious. Like it's either dubious or it's indubitable, but it's bet.
So here, I love the way that sounded coming out of your mouth, and I agree with all of it. But here's my response: is I would say that bet is, rewinding to the beginning of what you said. So Urban Dictionary would say that bet is equivalent to, and you said that it was what?
Indubitable or dubious?
Indubitable.
Indubitable means beyond doubt, and dubious means it's doubtful.
Oh, thank you. I just found it in my brain. So there was a time where I was on my Little League baseball team, and I stole third base, and I got thrown out. And when I got back to the bench, the coach went, "Don't worry, kid. I would have gone twice on Sunday." It's like, I would have stolen if I were you, and I would have gone twice on Sunday. And the whole twice on Sunday was a joke that went way over my head as a 12-year-old. But the idea is you enjoy having sex with your wife so much that you do it twice on Sunday. And the Lord permits it, even though it's a sin. And so like getting thrown out at third base usually is not the best because it means you took a risk and you could have not taken that risk. And, but he was like a reassuring thing to say to someone. It's like, don't worry, I would have made the same decision because I, thought you would be safe. And so if someone is like, I'm going to go get myself a solid lunch, and then
is this all a part of the poem that you were reading, or is this like
this is about the Urban Dictionary definition of bet? Right. And it's a way to it's an affirmative or an affirmation that says it's not that I'm agreeing with you. It's like, yeah, I want that for you. Have you? Or I love that for you.
Have you heard that phrase? Oh, I love that for you. I advocate for you. Yeah. Okay.
It's like someone's with my hair. Even they're like, look, I would never want that hair on my head, but I love that for you. And I was like, oh, thank you. Just like a random thought. But so that's bet, and bet is what it comes. I only heard a few people. Maybe Brooklyn it comes from, but so there's a few more back of the napkin calculations we could look at. And again, this idea that Busta Rhymes had the flip mode squad, and
was that the whole poem?
Your mind has to be nimble. So that was part of the song. So who decides what is real and what is cap? Who decides what's fake and what is fact? They censor someone that you hate. And then you clap, but they're coming for you next. It's a trap. And what it is, it's the modern day version of the Eli Wiesel poem. And you're like, first they came for these guys, and you don't really stuck up for them. And then they came for those guys, and you were like, yeah, they probably deserved it anyways. And then, they came for those guys. Yeah, no one really liked them anyways. And it's called like a series of purges. And who knows who's seizing power every 3 years, but eventually y'all fucking get it. And everyone
first they came for the trans exclusive radical feminists. And I said nothing because I was a trans exclusive radical feminist. Then they came for the second wave feminists, and I said nothing because I was a suffragist in the first wave, kind of thing like that.
Yeah, and for those, again, we assume that everyone in the audience knows the Eli Wiesel poem, and I assume Rafa does as well, no?
And I said nothing, because I don't even have any baby oil, kind of like that.
Well, can we make space to at least get, is Rafa muted? Or you can give us a thumbs up or down. Eli Wiesel, are you aware of the poem?
No.
Really?
So Eli, that's another
Are you
short
kidding
one that
me?
we could read.
Huh. Well, come on.
See, this is how
this is why people don't always get your references, and I just assume they all get your references, and they're just being jerks sometimes.
No,
but really, a lot of people don't know what you're talking about.
This poem is one of the reasons why all the people, again, were strange bedfellows in America, okay, got together and got off their asses and marshaled all the resources they could to go fucking kill all the fucking Nazis in Europe. You understand?
Well, not all.
It wasn't the
them.
Germans. We were sure.
Not the ones. Not the ones that we could use for rocket ships.
And there were specific people that they'd identified, and they were going after. You understand? Because they
figured out some
Martin
shit. Mueller. You don't know
in this poem. But what it was, this in the Nuremberg trials. This poem led to the Nuremberg trials. In my
Are you gonna read it or what's
no, of course I know.
I'm happy to read it.
I didn't know it's a poem, but I know about it. Of course, it's well known in German speaking.
I would imagine they beat you as a kid.
Oh, interesting. Right. I'm saying Eli Wiesel, and you're like, oh, Eli Wiesel? Oh, of course. Right? I mean, that's probably what's happening here. You mean like Wagner? Because you're saying Wagner, and I've never heard of a classical musician named Wagner, but I know who Wagner is.
Wagner, yes.
Wagner the dog.
I knew a dog named Vanya. Wagner, okay.
Is it a nice dog? Okay, sorry. So you have the next flashcard, or are you still going with the explanation?
Yeah. I'm scrolling through it. At the end, there's like a series of one-liner jokes, and then random rabbit holes. Again, that's another great name for a segment.
You should like shuffle the one-liners between all of the other subjects so that you can use them as you get to a point where you're spiraling in a subject. You just go to the one-liner like Rodney Dangerfield.
Well, if we were in the InfoWars studio and we were preparing for an afternoon show, entertainment variety show, we would all be in our offices getting our makeup done, and we would be having this conversation, and this would be the rough draft of the show, and you're like, yeah, no, this joke that you made is perfect. Rafa's gonna do that one. Andreas, like, you're like, no, remember, Stefan, I wrote 2 jokes that when I woke up, that was the first thing I wrote down, because I was like, I can tell this joke, but it's gonna be funnier if he's like a little, and so then we figure out how the segments shape together, where we do a little kayfabe dialogue back and forth, where we create a cohesive narrative of entertainment for the audience to sit back and engage in both passive listening and passive watching, where they spontaneously erupt in laughter and even tears sometimes. I think it's called like making art or something. Andreas, have you ever heard of that before?
The only thing better than clown makeup might be Andrew Lloyd Webber's cat makeup. Am I right? Like, if you dress like Chitara and get that whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, who loves Kitty?
And if we were highfalutin and our agent was there, no, we can't go live. We have to rehearse this 10 more times. Are you kidding? I have to protect my client's image reputation. We're going, no, we're Bill O'Reilly going, hey, we didn't get it right in rehearsal, and whatever, fuck it, we'll do it live anyways.
Dude, if I were like on my last day as a makeup airbrusher for like a news station, I would totally do everybody as cats. Because what would they do? They don't have time to change it or to fix it. You just kind of like, and you slowly progress until they fire you. You just like every day. Well,
the question is, if someone handed you a
bit more cat features,
if someone handed you a bag of $100,000 or put it on the table in front of you and say, give yourself cat makeup that is higher or equal quality to what this guy's doing right here, the question is, do you not have the hand-eye coordination or the patience, or is there something?
It's an art,
like in your ego or person that would prevent you from trying to like outdo and like out-fierce the cat makeup? Whatever this is, a competition. There's $100,000 on the table, and some people are really fucking good with makeup. That's all I'm saying.
Clearly, look at what's going on here.
But it has to do with like the reason we brush our teeth is because we're polishing our bones so that people like us better. And like the people that are really good at putting on makeup, sometimes it's because as it was like, I like wearing sunglasses because it's like armor. And, have you seen my baseball?
Wait,
I like turtles.
Is it a Freudian or like a baseball?
Oh, have you seen my baseball? It's from Something About Mary. And again, I just make the
That's
worst
right. You know what? I keep getting Something About Mary quotes. Martin loved Something About Mary. I haven't.
But I'm happy to say that like I'm socially retarded in a lot of other ways. I'm probably a little retarded is a way like developmentally, whether it be like psychosocially or neurochemically.
Is the reason why you don't wear cat makeup, Nolan, is because you have to wash it off? That's the weirdest reason. So, I mean, of all the excuses you could have come up with, I mean, You could have just not liked cat makeup, bro. But if you do,
and the thing is, it's not. It's the $100,000 is
Water
going to
soluble.
a charity of your choice, and the fact that you're not willing to try to do really fucking awesome or not able to means that those kids at the Shriners Hospital, no, it's going to Cars for Kids instead. And you were there to represent the team, and you couldn't be bothered to like give yourself whiskers even. It's like what?
Dude, if they painted Biden to look like a cat, that would have been
compelling
so cool.
reality
You
television.
wouldn't even known.
Trump is going to retire from politics and go back into reality TV. Right? Think about that.
He is. Isn't that what things are?
His shows
how
raise
is
millions
what we're
of dollars
doing?
for charity.
Is TV not reality
Are you sure
TV?
it's not the other way around?
Well, I'm just saying that the only reason I didn't feel like I was hollowing out my soul and brain by watching The Apprentice was because, and especially Celebrity Apprentice, was because every episode they were just trying to throw events, and then again, it's fundraising. That's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to most people. But
I feel like you
when
really
there's-
got to take a lot of drugs to watch Shark Tank and The Apprentice, though, right? Like, isn't
See,
that kind of
for me, Shark Tank, just like
heroin addicts
Project
thing,
Runway,
watch those
it was
shows.
reliving the trauma of going to architecture school, and it's called a charrette. And they changed the rule, and then you have to go present your material that you're not that confident in, and stand in front of all your peers as the teacher goes, and you know exactly what's wrong with your project is that you didn't have enough time to really make it all that great. And then they point out, and then the students start backing up the teacher and agreeing with them that, yeah, no, you really should have spent more time with that. And you're going, oh, great, thanks. And so you learn to like bare your soul with whatever it is you have, and all you can do is put your best foot forward. And sometimes you hit a home run, but even the best baseball players strike out a lot. And like this year in baseball in particular, there's one team in the American League that has like 6 guys hitting over 300. But outside of that one team, there's only like 5 other players in the whole league that are hitting over 300, whereas usually every team has 5 or 6 guys hitting over 300. So as like an autistic, savant inclined like baseball fan, in the morning it was the newspaper. You would wake up and stare at numbers while you're like eating your breakfast and trying to figure out
total numerology, right? An 18 for the diamond.
It
like
is, yeah, no, right. No,
360s.
I didn't read the horoscope, and I wasn't doing any.
baseball.
There was no symbolism to it. The symbol was evaluate the numbers in front of you, and try to and follow the trends so that when something changes or good happens, you know exactly the moment. And like there's hits all the time, but some of them are more impactful than others. So.
Baseball is gay. Yeah, I mean, baseball is based. I like baseball. I don't really like baseball, but one time I did a number of psychedelic substances and watched the entire Ken Burns documentary on the history of baseball. So I get it, on a level, and I had this girlfriend whose dad played for the A's. So, I was trying to understand baseball. So I mean, and yeah, I studied the Kabbalah a lot. So I like baseball for that. If I were to have a TV show, it would be kind of like Flashdance. It would be about like miners and strippers and people like welders that wanted like that Avalanche's music video where like the miner comes up and he has to like prove he's the best dancer ever. I would want like to get people whose whole life could change from what they do, which is like working at Amazon or lifting boxes. And you would just, have them judged. Basically, this would change their life, or they would go back to living a life of nothingness and banality. Because it's all about whether or not they can dance. And it's kind of like your architecture school thing, except it wouldn't be about trust fund kids. It would be about,
yeah, but that's such a black
welders.
pill, right? And again, like you and I, it's like post-meta irony, and it's just like, you can let that roll off your tongue, but to say that life is meaningless or this, again, it's called the black mirror. We all have a portal to the rest of the universe in our pockets, and we can let it like brainwash us and rot our brains. But if you just use it the right way, it's a lot better than like sitting there just feeling sorry for yourself. Reading a book
but
is
if
also
somebody
a good way
wanted to like
focus your mind,
escape
but-
their reality, like they want to escape being a welder, and the only way to do that is to become some sort of a Stanislavski.
Well, what are other ways, Rafa or Andreas, that people engage in escapism? And I can rattle it off, but I mean, so you have intoxication, right? Is one way that a lot of people engage in the process of
running,
distancing,
athleticism, going to the gym and stuff.
Get out of your head and into your body.
Video games.
And some of these things add years to your life or add quality or strength. You're deepening your gas tank. You're not just using the gas in it and getting burnt out by engaging in certain types of behaviors or practices. But to me, it's even exhausting to think that life is meaningless. I spent so much time there and finding the ins and outs and ways around that type of thinking that, and that's what you get for taking mushrooms when you're 14 and being like way too smart for your age, or like my mom needed to parturiate me or try to kill me between her legs a lot longer before I got C-sectioned. Otherwise,
okay, so like here's how it works. It would be like illegal immigrants that are ICE has picked up, and I love, by the way, ISIS to ICE. I think we need to do a documentary just on that. Would be good, but it should be ICE picks you up, and instead of a regular court trial, because it's now reality TV, you can choose like 3 ways. You either do like a wrestling match with the steroidal, like Randy Savage looking transgender person, or you do an ice skating competition, but with someone from Hezbollah, or, like it should be someone that's like has a completely different political stance than you. It should be like Palestinians and Israelis do an ice dance level thing, like the cartels and the Jehovah's Witness or something. Or you do like your solo thing, which is an incredible dance. So if you're like a Salvadorian mafioso or like a cartel person from Venezuela or something like that, you have to do this amazing flash dance thing. And the judges are like, at least 2 of them are East Germans, and the rest of them are like Juilliard teachers that broke their back shoveling snow one season and take heroin all the time. But they're really critical. I want really critical judges.
See, and this is where if Andreas was on Krigler's show, he'd be pressing the button and going, Andreas, at it again. No one knows what you're talking about, but like you sound pretty. But like our version.
I'm just sharing from the heart.
No, but our version of the show is we sit there and fucking listen to you do that for like 18 minutes if you want to, and then you push a button and AI like makes a cartoon of what you just said, and then what you do is like you're layering it in, and then all of a sudden it's silent, and there's like maybe even
use the whistle at this point
for us to visit later.
Willy Wonka, do the whistle,
and it's animating the story you just told, and then you can go in and tweak it. You're like real time showing people how you're kind of tweaking the vibe coding that you're doing. And then people are learning in real time, like, how does this stuff actually take shape? And you're going, I can explain it to you, but again, you guys make fun of me when I say more than 2 coherent sentences in a row usually,
Nobody likes coherency. That's like not even fun. But yeah, no, I think, what do you think is better? Like giving people a chance to ruminate on an idea so that they can think about it for 2 hours, or giving them so many ideas that they're traumatized by the 2-hour stream, and then the next 5 years of their life are spent processing what they heard in that 2-hour stream.
Is that we very soon switch to the version of the stream where there's a real-time 3-dimensional, or like a chart. It doesn't have to be on Prezi. We can even, again, this is not going to be complicated coding. We can be even practice making an app for the 3 of us. And I'm gonna, through Kickstarter, again, I think my brother had like lunch with the founder of Give, Send, Go, where you don't even really need a good excuse to ask for money. It's like, I want to buy this thing. Like, can anyone help me? And
trauma
like
is the way,
there's like angel investors who like are required to spend $25,000 there a week. Otherwise, their boss goes like, "What are you doing? You're taking all these big bets. Like, you're not even taking little ones." And a lot of these businesses, at least, are philanthropically worth investing in. And then like it's part of our brand. But so we just have to set up a schedule that doesn't have to be rigid. You can pencil things in and create a wiki where when I'm ready to work on it, I do this. And it's like there's certain types of work that I'm not going to touch because Andreas is still working on that. And I'm not going to go in and like, it's like password protected content in a wiki that is only designed there's like a separate wiki. I call it like a codex or an ink codex. And it's either in the codex or it's INC, like you are a business. And it's
codex
like you're in codex. And you give each other access, password protected access to different parts of each other's codex. And like your girlfriend and wife might be the only one who has access to like your bank passwords and like your email passwords. Like in an emergency, if you're going to call someone, she's the only person who can log into your secret cloud database, like a crypto wallet version of where all your passwords are stored. And it's what X should be. It's the platform of everything, but we're actually going to build the functionality into it, and it's going to help people that are scatterbrained like me that want to engage in entrepreneurial activity where it looks like I'm a coherent businessman, and regardless of whether I'm making money, at least looks like I'm not like it's not like someone pulls me aside. I'm telling them all my unfulfilled dreams, because that's called an incubus, is the weight outside of a demon that like gets you while you're sleeping.
With incubus.
But incubus represents the weight of all your unfulfilled dreams and thoughts that weigh on you at night, that keep you up. And you're like, yeah, why didn't 5 years ago? You keep having these great ideas and you're going, yeah, but I'm being creative but not productive. And so incubus is like BS at the end. It's a little bullshit. But if you close the loop on the S, it becomes incubate. See that? And so that's the, you're asking me like, what do I call the company? And I'm happy to show you the diagrams that I showed you guys before. And I say a lot of weird shit, but like, we could make this into a fucking movie about how like I start a company, or like it's us starting a company, or like whatever, or we could all be co-founders, you know?
So like we should get on Shark Tank and basically like you lock all the doors. You say you're not going to stop talking.
Well, but when it
until
comes
they
to
pay.
Etsy, when it comes to Etsy, like my brother is the founder of Etsy. Now everyone else claims to be a co-founder that was there, and the other 3 guys that he wrote love letters to, and like convinced to like leverage again. Literally, these one of the guys was an AI artist, and he had a website called complexification.net that is still up to this day. You can go there, and every time you go there and you click on one of his, it renders a unique version of that piece of artwork. Some of it's like a bunch of shapes that spin and enlarge, and it looks like a sundial or something, but like, or like you scatter bones or tea leaves. He made an AI version of scattering tea leaves, and it's just the likelihood that there's ever going to be 2. And then there's like, so complexification. And so he wrote what he also did, he took the speech that George Bush did to go to war with Iraq, and above it, he started putting a body above every letter of a civilian in Iraq that had died since we went to war with Iraq under false pretenses. And eventually there were 2 people over every single letter. Well, first it was 1 over every word. That's what it was. And then it was 1 over 11. And then it was like, we're 2, 3, 4 dead civilians for every single letter in the speech that George Bush gave when we went to war. So again, this guy was like based back in the day, so to speak. You're making based art. What point is he making? I don't know. But he's like turning it into visual information that you're processing in your emotional centers as artwork instead of as like through your neurolinguistic filters. See? So that's what Rastas say after to cut themselves off. They go, you see? Instead of saying, see what I'm saying? They go, see?
You see?
And then the response was, John,
should we do the song? Want to do the song? Okay.
Which one?
Chill out, bro. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Take a breath, Stefan. Won't you calm down and breathe so we can finish the thought? They were in the middle of a sentence. Let alone an idea.
Let alone an idea.
Won't you give them time to cook? Let them cook. Let them cook. Let them cook. Let them cook. Think about how much time it took.
The best part's coming up.
Get here now. Think of how much.
This is my favorite part.
Let people be allegorically pregnant and just stayed on ideas. Don't just schedule metaphorically planned C-sections on people giving birth to your ideas. Do what
So, and again, I understand it took a lot of time to get here, gentlemen, correct? You agree with that, right? Andreas is one of these few people that even if he's not, he's frustrated with the process that it's not really possible to make a viable living on YouTube unless you're selling advertising or something, and he's not able to mobilize the type of people in his audience that can actually execute that type of thing for him, apparently.
We're gonna make it happen.
He's a plugger and he sticks to it. But I've been observing you guys. You're not working. What you're doing is you're talking at each other and past each other, and sometimes to each other. But you're not really talking about it. We don't even laugh at each other's jokes most of the time. We make well, again, but that's what I love about the stream is because like I'm just as neurodivergent as all of these guys, and like I'm not waiting to like get a round of applause or laughter when I say something like way like a Theo Von.
Are you a fan of laugh tracks? Should I have laugh tracks? We probably need actually just like laugh tracks that we can click on, because for me, I'm a big fan of, the shows where the audience laughs, but the show doesn't have the laugh tracks. But at the same time, laugh tracks were good back when the recordings of laughter were from alive people. Because the thing is, now they're just using dead people's recorded voices.
Actually, by the way, the show I brought up at the very end on the last Europa, they deliberately said, they could have used some canned laughter, but it wouldn't be real. So they actually did the whole thing, which was later made for TV, but played it in front of a live audience and actually got the real Austrians to laugh at the thing, and that's the track they played in, which maybe was part of the success back then.
No, I'm sure that when you translate some of Andreas's podcasts, and especially clips, and there's subtitles, and you're able to kind of see the dynamic on screen, you understand the personalities, and you're not following it word for word, because then we're talking over each other. But if you do a good enough job of kind of getting the gist of it, and they understand the context of it, there are people that watch this, and like 8% of people that watch that clip laugh harder again than they've laughed in years. And people go, why do you guys like Andreas? Why are you a fan? Are you a fanboy? Are you a stan? Are you a pay? What are you?
What's wrong with you?
And by the way, like, what's the difference between cognitive warfare and a psyop and versus an information war? And those are all things that we should be familiar with. But anyways, like, I'm not here to psyop Andreas anyway. I'm here to celebrate the freedom of the YouTube platform that still exists. And I accept that all my vanity and like the benefit psychologically that I get from like being welcomed on the show or like feeling like I have a voice somehow through a show. Again, he has a big platform, and if there are, the things that I get to say that when I say them person to person to someone, they never go over well, where at least they're like received informationally.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask him because I can tell you this. Actually, Stefan's home is clean. When I went to his house, I was impressed to find a very clean house. He had a very nice house. I mean, it's not a house.
There's like no animal poop in my house right now. It's
nothing.
First time,
no, I mean, I never noticed animal poop. I'm just saying his plate.
Well, I guess
bed
I'm
was
full
made
of shit. Because people are full of shit because when you eat food,
he had a nice counter. It actually like it didn't match him because I thought like I'd get in there and it would just be like weed everywhere and everything was broken and like all hippie, like a surf den. Like because I lived in surf dens.
It's only on Tuesdays though,
No, bro, his house looks like a Coke bar. It's like so clean. It's crazy.
It's a bachelor pad a little bit. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a bachelor. Dude, when I could bring a woman back there and they would be impressed. They would be shocked. They'd be like, they would ask you, whose apartment are you borrowing right now to FB? Because like, it would be surprised at how nice his apartment is.
And it looked like an Airbnb. People were like, either he's Dexter.
See, like the dead laughter. Dead laughter is always the best. See, I like it too. Yeah, it's good.
And as long as what I'm talking about again is from a map here, I don't feel like the laugh track is interrupting me or the flow. The point is to eventually communicate and build on that joke or revisit it in a way where I'm acknowledging that, see, that's why we love Andreas. Again, people go, because they can't even follow the conversation for more than 10 minutes without feeling like they need to call and yell at their mother or their sister or something. Because some men just like love to yell at women. The idea is I have a sharp tongue and I know how to use it. And like, I can say something, you say you're untriggerable, but like I can say something that's going to tie your brain a bit of a knot and make you want to punch me in the face. And like most people can't accomplish that within 15 seconds of just like meeting someone.
But I'm like, feel that way
for better or worse, like able to accomplish that. Oh no! So
I love to feel. Like I'm a big fan of feeling.
What does this say? It says my mouth has no filter. I say whatever I please, and most of the time I'm just as shocked as you are. So like. What I'm going to do is make bling. I'm going to wear this on my neck, on my front and my back, and I'm going to go do one of those like change my mind segments about these sections. You guys got my back? And by got my back, you're like, tell me exactly how to set up the camera so I can go do it alone. And you'll like be as far the fuck away from whatever conversation, but like you'll help me get it online, right? And it's like a dead man switch. Like, at least the last broadcast will go out,
I mean, it's hard to tell what kind of laughter is right, but my thought is that they need new laugh tracks. We need a whole.
If you want
to
Jubilee, where you get surrounded, like if you want to talk about like getting torn apart by 25. Again, one person wants to punch you in the face. No, put me in the middle and put 25 midwives around me and handmaids and abortion advocates around me, and I'm going to explain to them how proper reproductive care for women means that they at least have the option. Without coercion from their family or their grant or like financial issues aside, there are grants. If you want a pre-planned C-section, it's like pulling a tooth, and you schedule it, and you show up, and you skip all the drama and labor, and like you explain like through sports because people understand. And you explain to the husband because he's going, no, my grandma and my mother, and you're going, yeah, but they used to only be able to get two knee surgeries. Now you can get 17 of them because they don't cut your knee open and just operate on it. They go in like orthoscopically, and they have like they have a cosmetic surgeon in there, and they're not there to give you a tummy tuck, but like you kind of get a compliment. If you have 7 babies by C-section, you get like 2 free tummy tucks along the way because that's like part of the process of having someone. You don't just have like a gastroenterologist who in an emergency is like authorized to just take one big fell swoop and cut your belly open, all 7 layers, all at one time. Like at least the baby's gonna survive, And that's why they start reading you your rights. A priest shows up, and then like the bishop shows up, and the Jewish chick, the Jewish chick is going, I don't believe in God, and they're going, you don't agree with your final rights, man. And if you won't sign a piece of paper for the peace section, then like at least your kids gonna survive. You
know? This is working.
And is it tears, and is it real or fake laughter? And yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm crying. The reason I sound agitated is like this is me crying about it because I don't have a solution for it. But it makes everyone. There was someone's like, if you can make every couple that came in the room to watch your show uncomfortable and have an argument on the way home, you did your job. You know.
Yeah.
At least one thing, something that you both probably laughed at. Still, they're gonna argue about it on the way home. Like, no, you didn't actually agree with that guy, did you? It's like, I don't know, honey. I think we should draw like it down on a diagram and evaluate the logic of it. And she's all, yeah. So that's why people do comedy, because they can make people smile. Awesome. Sweet.
Oh my God, bro.
That's right. No, I'm going to hell, but you're all coming with me. Thank you for holding space for me to get to this point. And again, like seizing the reins and like running it like a business meeting. Imagine this was actually the type and stuff. And that's why, again, you two have to be there. I mean, there's no authority that I wield to this type of behavior or thinking or, you know, but like it's digestible as a way to like pace your way through massive amounts of content so that everyone's on the same page. And it's like third grade where you were told you raise your hand if the math teacher does something on the board, you don't, and sometimes they do it on purpose. They go 7 + 4 and they write 12, and they're waiting for someone to go, Miss Johnson, actually over there, see, and right, and all the way up through chemistry where you got your graphing calculator out and you're running regression recursions on like reaction curves about substances reacting with each other on different conditions. And if you never really got that far in school, that's fine. Like, but like, it's not that it wasn't school's fault, or it's just that you've had a lot of time since then to just like go back and learn about the world. That's like, it's still there.
When the very few words used in our language groups are assessed on an ongoing inventory, it becomes an interesting measure of our changing social attitudes, like the word retarded, for instance.
An idiot at one time was, or moron. Those were all, because you got classified as that as a young age or at an old age in a way where you're going, no, come on. You're saying I'm in the same group as, and that's why they call it an autism now. And even like, I don't refer to it, but that is the, because autism is many things, and you don't have autism, you have an autism, and then which one? And again, that's how you could say that that's the neurodivergent people, but again, the neurotypical people, you just can't explain it to some of them. And that's like the polite way of saying that, like, some people, again, it's a simpler universe. Again, ignorance is bliss. So, you know, God bless, Godspeed. And again, do you trust scientists? And are you just repeating something you heard because the infographic was awfully convincing? And now again, go pull up that diagram again of THCA plus heat goes to, is that a convincing, and you don't have to pull it up actually, everyone in their mind, is that a convincing infographic? No. Especially, again, that's the question on the test you take in chemistry. And then you fill the rest of the page with math and alternative reactions and intermediary steps, and then stoichiometry to figure out how many moles, and is it adsorbing or and like that equation in the middle is like a question basically.
Where did you put it? Did you post it here somewhere?
Well, it was that simple. There was a red box. There was a red box, and again, there's the arrow in the middle, and that's like a reaction equation, and that's like a whole semester in chemistry. And if you remember doing it, even let alone you can't even begin to explain it to the people who are just trying to tell you that you just you take the chicken and you put the fire on it, like the equation says, and now you can fucking eat it. And if you say more than 2 sentences, like in idiocracy, you sound pretentious and faggy. So like, come on, bro. You just can't help yourself, can you? It's like, well, again, that's why I'm alone, because it's okay to be the smartest person in the room, because, you know, you don't really need to prove anything to anybody. And it's part of the yogic non-attachment. And I don't want to have a kissing match. I love being proved wrong all the time. That means I'm learning something. Get it?
Do more flashcards.
Oh yeah. So there's like a couple one-liners to it back in the napkin calculation. I did this. I called best friend growing up, the guy that taught me to bag an ounce growing up. So it's like you got to take the ounce and then you get a plastic bag, you get the scale, and you lick them all in, and so it's like the guy that he didn't like get me into smoking weed. It's like, but the guy that I first started smoking weed with, kind of. So I called him today, ran this joke by him. So this isn't using your audience for the first time. So it's not really a joke, but it's a mind bender. So here's the premise. And back of the napkin calculation, we should be able to do this maybe with 3 or 4 simple multiplication things. So the question is, how many people will get their 15 minutes of fame in the form of throwing out the first pitch of a Major League Baseball game? And because I've already gone through the thought experiment, I'm defining it now as 20 years prior to today and 20 years in the future. So in a 40-year span that includes the 20 years past and 20 years in front of us, what percentage of Americans will have the opportunity to throw out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game? And so now how do you begin approaching this as a word problem and turning it into math? And so do you want me to like do this like the teacher where where do we start? So, and again, I know baseball, so I'll walk us through. So you have 162 games, and maybe you can just pull up Google and type this in. Because again, it's like 5 numbers. Do you understand the premise though? Do you understand the premise of the back of the napkin calculation? And the goal is, and what I really should do is first, both of you, please take a guess. So again, because we're going to come up with a percentage and then adjust it accordingly. Say, oh no, we're missing a number here. But if you just had to guess, what percentage of Americans are going in the previous 20 years? And again, as soon as you change the parameters, if it's the previous 30 years and next 30 years, now the percentage changes, or 40 years. But if we're using 20 years as the premise, and there's 162 games in every season for each team, and there's 30 teams, and now cut that number in half, because each team plays 162, but they're always playing against another team, and there's only one person that gets selected to throw out the first pitch, generally, sometimes multiple. But we're going on the premise of making it a conservative mathematical calculation, a guesstimate. And again, to me, this is just, if you don't think about the universe in this way, like, are you just like looking at colors all the time? And I'm not like trying to hate, but like, if you want to window through to like the way I experience the world, not that it's better, but people trying to understand what neurodivergence might mean. And I'm trying to tell you that like, you're probably pretty neurotypical if you shit on people that are neurodivergent, because you just like aren't on their level.
It's like 1 in a million, right? Because there's like 300 million Americans or something, so it's like 1 in a million, something like that.
Well, but so the simple math. So you have 162 games times 30 teams divided by 2. What's that number?
What was the question again? It was 162. What was it? Would you ask? 30?
Well, and again, this is where we're having like a slate. Yeah, so we have 162 games and 30 teams. But then you're dividing it by 2, because in every game there's 2 teams. And so what you did is you created a calculation. And each one's a mini word problem. And again, there's only 2 other steps here, pretty much. So you now have the total number of games, which represents the total number of individuals as fans.
81 time. What's the question? So out of 30 teams, you're saying? Or one person in? How many people are on a team? Right. Also,
well, no, and so because you have to read the word problem, and there's numbers there, and one of them was 20, and 20 years before, and 20 years after, and that number is also kind of 40. And so you're trying to figure out in a 40-year span how many games are there. And so the answer is how many games are in one season times 40, right?
And there's 81, you said, right? 81 games, because there's time. You said it was 162.
Correct. So you can skip a step. But see, this is where, if I were writing it down, and my little cousin was learning math, I would insist him as continuing to write it as 162 divided by 2 as a place, because you get 40 credit for your work. Even if you get the wrong answer, the teacher will give you 9 out of 10 points, even if you get the completely wrong answer, because you showed your work. You didn't skip steps, because sometimes you don't show your work because you're actually rushing. And he tells you, this test is going to be on a scale. And you actually have to kind of flip through it and pick 7 of the 10 to answer, because otherwise you're just going to do the first 7. And those might be the 3 last ones might be really easy. And so now your job is to take this test in a way where you get the best score out of all your peers. And so you're engaging in strategical and tactical thinking and you're attacking a problem like your life depends on it, because you're not allowed to get a bad grade even once, because then you're not going to get the college you want to go to, and then you're not get the job you want to, and then you're going to be a failure. And you know, it was all a lie to begin with, because if your parents live in $1 million house, then even like straight out of college, who's getting a job where you're having $1 million? So right out of college, you're like living in like a decent $150,000 house, but you're in a
So
terrible.
really, what you need to do is you
And so
need
you're
to convince
immediately a
all the
failure
other
no matter
kids
how much
that.
you succeed anyways, if your parents are millionaires, and it's like really not
So
a
you
great
convince,
setup.
if you can convince, if they're graded on a curve, you convince all the other kids at school that math is stupid and that they should all do drugs, and then you study math and don't do drugs.
No.
So
What
that
you
they
do is
score
you
down
watch them
with the
sleep
group.
through class and not take notes, and copy their homework out of their trapper keeper of their older sibling who had the same exact teacher and the same exact curriculum, and the tests are just the same tests with numbers changes, and your older sibling kept all of his tests. And so some guys on the basketball team would sleep through class. I'm going, what the fuck is he doing in my math class? That kid can't tell his ass from his elbow. And the only reason he gets good grades is because he cheats like a fucking demon. And then like, so do like 90% of the other kids in the class, because there's like Asian kids like selling tests from the last 8 years. The thing is, the way they're cheating though is like studying 1,000 times, and like they're cheating in that they're going as tapping into all the resources they can to prepare themselves as well, so that when they wake up and eat their breakfast, they don't puke it back up in their mouth, because they have 2 different tests back to back in about 4 hours, where they've got 14 memory palaces that they've been responsible for learning about in a cumulative fashion and then mastering. So that, because eventually in big classes, no, your entire grade is your midterm and your final, and there's no fucking participation trophy. Sorry, because they're preparing you for college.
College is a joke.
Well, all I can say is
that's the joke. You get to
to
college, and college is a fucking joke. Yeah, exactly. Camp college. The
people can
babysitting.
stress out to get their
alcohol.
high school exit exam or whatever they have, SATs and all of that. I can only say I did that. I stressed out over it, and then I went to university where you don't even need anything like that, because they just judge you on your merits and whether you can pass the university exam. So
my older brother graduated with a minimum GPA, so he didn't have to take his GED, which is the equivalency exam, where if you don't pass high school, you can take an exam that will maybe get you into college. But then he actually failed out of art school, like some other Austrian guy. You know, the dude legit flunked out he wasn't kicked out, so he flunked out art school.
How do you do? Do you just like not draw, like out of like civil disobedience? Like how do you flunk out art school?
He got I think it was a C minus was the lowest GPA average you could have without needing to take the GED equivalency exam.
Yeah, but like, what are they grading on? Like, isn't the class like you draw something? So if you're drawing something, don't they have to give you a good grade at all? Like, it's just like a participation trophy, like you said.
This is like a movie I could make, and you know, my brother doesn't really deserve it. Like someone to like document his interesting path from fuck up to success, you know. But like, I'd rather make a movie about my dad. It's just really boring because he does paperwork and specifications, and like, you know, I spent 10,000 hours at him with his business. But like, it's something else that I could sit here and talk for like pretty much 4 days straight about, or like produce content. If you and I sat here for a month, we could make an architecture channel where it's just me talking and breaking down everything from the way architecture schools are certified and the way it needs to change and the way it was in the past. Because I've just had a cross-sectional view of the industry by working at a 1-person, 5-person, 10-person, 200-person firm. And again, it's like Siddhartha lived many lives, but he eventually ended up with his face down in a puddle that was only 2 inches deep, but he was drowning because he wasn't sure either if he wanted to or if he was able to lift up his head. And when you're face down in 2 inches of water, technically you're drowning.
That's how Jimi Hendrix died.
Well, he said he was on his back. Yeah.
Except it's Morgan Freeman. So. Oh, okay. We're 2 hours deep. What do you want? Do you want a closing? Should we do another breathe? Let's do another breath really quick.
Yeah, so here's to hoping that like Wayne's World, I'm still doing this eventually, and then like my neighbors are throwing a block party out there, and they're like on air. It's like this guy's waving in the background of the sports. They're like, "Oh, we made it. You want a milkshake, Stefan?"
I want a milkshake. I like the hazelnut milkshake.
I got his roach. He threw me his glove. You know.
Okay, we're gonna let Raph lead again. Go ahead, Raph.
I have a closing like sign off, like Sam Newsman style thing. So before we do, I know sometimes you do the hard cut, but then even after my soft closeout, I have like a pirate faced limerick to. So again, I've got we could also do this next week too, but please let me allow you to turn it over to Raf.
If you've got a pirate limerick, I'm kind of curious. Do you want to do the pirate limerick first? Just do the pirate. Just don't explain it. Just do the pirate.
So here's the thing. I'm going to make a face. Again, a lot of my yoga students said they don't even know what it would look like if I was angry about something, or like what it would sound like if I was yelling in anger at somebody.
Do you know what a pirate's favorite vegetable is?
It's like method acting. And when you take, oh, nice. Yeah, there you go. But when you take, and so I had a thick mustache and a goatee like 5 minutes before I came on the stream. So I was going full Jack Sparrow a minute ago. And so it was a little more effective, but I'm happy. You want me to do, I'll do that now, because I'm not going to lean into the snarling quite as much, but here's the premise. So
please do.
It has to do with the Mobius strip. And see, this is perfect this is like a great Xirtus sphere way to teach like a mathematical concept, a limerick, and what it looks like when someone is leaning into comedic acting and trying to be a comedian at the same time, which usually leads to them being sectioned in a psych ward. So it starts like this, and I'll say it plainly at first, and then I'll explain it. So it goes, a mathematician once confided that the Mobius strip is one-sided. And you'll get quite a laugh if you try to cut it in half, because it remains in one piece when divided. And so now there's a visual element that goes along with this. Ready? And so I'm still on frame. A Mobius strip, for those in the audience that don't know, I'm not going to, again, baby Andreas and Rafa here. So a Mobius strip is not a loop of paper that is connected like this. It is a loop that simply has one twist in it, and then it's attached. And if you've never been to a science museum where there's a giant version of this and there's a electric train car that's going around and around and around, and somehow it's on both sides. And it's because you've created technically from a topological sense in mathematics, created a one-dimensional object from a certain perspective. Like when people say the universe is flat or the earth is flat, there are topological elements of the universe that are flat. And that if you keep going that way, it doesn't loop back necessarily, and you eventually come back on the other side. Whereas the earth, being topologically flat. So again, you have a Mobius strip. And a Mobius strip, again, this is like when I was little in here in Boston, I knew what a Mobius strip was from the time I was 5, because there was a visual 3-dimensional object with a train whizzing around. And it was one of like the only things I remembered. And it was like an orienting place. And each time there was the same explanation. See, Stefan, see that train? It's going around. And notice, there's only one train, but sometimes it's on one side and sometimes it's on the other. And now the limerick says you'll get quite a laugh if you try to cut it in half, because it remains in one piece when divided. So a loop of paper, and I wish I had better props, but you connect it like this, and now you go to cut it in half, you're going to end up with 2 loops. Whereas if you take a Mobius strip and you do the same thing, you start cutting it down the middle, somehow you just end up with a bigger loop that's thinner. And it's all still attached to itself. And if you cut it in 3 pieces, you end up with one bigger loop, and then the other one's linked into it. And they're both Mobius strips. And it's just topology, and there's literally mathematical proofs that kind of prove that it has to work that way. But so here's the cultural context. A Mobius strip is an artifice that one can project a defensive strategy or offensive strategy onto, and then view it through the lens of an orthographic, which means rectilinear right angle system, and see if it changes your perspective on the decision. You're playing chess, you change things up now. Only so many moves in chess, but there's the concept of shark's teeth, and there's certain gangs or military outfits or even just fans. The idea is if you knock out one Red Sox fan at Fenway Park, and there's like a Yankees fan and a Red Sox fan getting into it, yeah, but like at Fenway, Red Sox fans are like shark's teeth. And so Yankees fans know not to fuck with people because they might get a few punches in, but you're not really getting away with anything, Capiche? Are we simpatico? Can you feel it? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? Sorry. I also have a really inappropriate joke that I can make in 3 seconds, but the premise is that you could stretch it to 45 minutes, and I have a lot of comedic, but I can also say that. But so I can finish this one. So the way it becomes like a pirate anthem. So like again, Hell's Angels operate on these principles, shark's teeth, and it's like oh, what's your answer to 1984? It's 1776. And it's like you're having a metaphorical pissing match, dick measuring contest sort of thing. And it's like, oh yeah, well, we figured out how to counter shark's teeth. It's called fucking dominoes, you know. Come one, come all, step right the fuck up, sort of thing. And it's like, are you just posturing? And there's certain, no, you have 20,000 cattle, and you have to cut them up into little precise pieces and put them in packaging. And so what you do is you create like a whole bunch of robots and trains, and you say step right up, and they all, and like mankind can muster that energy of I'm going to master this process. I'm going to science the shit out of it so that it's done properly, at least. You know, it's not that I'm reducing the amount of time I or anyone else has to spend. It's, at least we're spending all that time and it's being done 100% correctly. Because otherwise you're poisoning people when you're selling food. And thankfully, I mean, but so the idea of the Mobius strip, and how is this a badass thought? So that if you change the words of a limerick a little bit. So on one hand, I could have started, instead of a mathematician once confided, a Mobius strip is one-sided, and you'll get quite a laugh if you try to cut it in half because it remains in one piece when divided. You could say, well, when I grew up, my grandpa taught me actually that it started by saying, instead of a mathematician once confided, a Mobius strip, he said a Mobius strip is one-sided, a mathematician once confided. And instead of you'll get quite a laugh if you cut it in half because it remains in one piece is divided, again, they've switched two of the verses or something, and it still flows off the tongue. And whose version is correct? But the way it becomes kind of menacing is like, united we stand, divided we fall. Do not step on Snek, thanks. We are order followers, but like even when we were in the Cold War with Russia, the guy in the Russian sub that got the decoded message that said, no, time to fire all the nukes back at the United States because we detected a bogey. I don't know if you know a lot of the story, but it's up to us to receive commands and then process them through the filter of our own intelligence. And that's why the IQ test was the measure to get into the military. And if you're not this tall, you're not allowed to fucking receive orders because you're not tall enough to ride the ride. And you become, it's called a bootlicker. And like in the 70s, I would rather someone call me a dirty kike than call me a bootlicker, you know? So like, again, people were real sensitive about that because like half their brothers didn't come home from the war where they fucking, no, the whole family, it was like the Civil War, but instead of fighting for a cause or anything, no, it was extermination. There was something that was identified and we were going to go eliminate it. And whether that's true or not, that was the energy that was kind of left behind when all the good men skedaddled. And, you know, Bob Marley said, who's going to stay at home when the freedom fighters are fighting? And, you know, you would go down to the Department of Motor Vehicles and you're looking at the people behind the desk and they're all just, you're going, why doesn't this place run like a well-oiled machine? And because like every competent person that had half of a heart was shamed by the women into the town through a series again of like purge-like phases, where at first you were shamed for carrying a rose or not carrying a rose, but eventually everyone was either shamed into fleeing or being identified as someone who was unworthy of their man card, essentially, because you weren't at the war fighting. And so, and then, you know. But so here, I guess, long story short, and if anyone's able to stretch something from nothing into it's an autistic person. The question is, does it ever make sense to anyone? And this is where the diagram up. But so, if you were a series of pirate ships, and the British Navy is trying to sail at your fleet and your armada, you go, yeah, no, come on, right? When you try to divide us, guess what? We fucking remain in one fucking piece, and you can cut off our communications. No, we all know exactly who we are. And it's like we all have each other's backs and we have an order of like principles and operations from which we operate. And so we know that our neighbor is not going to bomb us because and not that they're going to kill and eradicate the outside force that's coming in and trying to influence what's going on by divide and conquer. But when you, any other shape, you cut it in half, you pretty much know what you're working with. Whereas a Mobius strip, it tricks you. So a mathematician once confided in the Mobius strip, not only is it one-sided, but you get quite a fucking laugh if you try to fucking cut us in half because we remain in one fucking piece when you try to divide us. And that's like the American spirit that I smoke every day. Get it? And they're like, thank you for your soapbox, Andreas. I love you for even tolerating me as a human, let alone pretending I make even a little bit of sense. But like, that's the kind of energy I get when I wake up and I smoke real weed and I put on some fucking awesome music because like, you know, life is short. You got to be able to grab life by the pants. And, you know, when your mother and your best friend at 18 get cancer a couple times and you kind of learn to just like, no, I'm going to lean into the now. And like, sometimes that remains as an echo in your personality forever. And you're like really okay with that because, you know, Nothing's tomorrow is not guaranteed. That's about all I have to say about that, as I say.
That's amazing. All right. Well, let's do the breathing thing, and then we'll let people go home.
I could make the really dirty joke, the one that like people are gonna remember.
3 seconds.
Like, oh, I knew that guy was a fucking creep. Should I go for it?
Okay, you got 3 seconds.
I can save it for the next time, and that way, like the people that don't mind me so much are like, oh no, I want to hear this dirty joke. It's enough. You guys again have to remember, this is your second stream in a row. You guys are 6 hours ahead, and you're angels together for even just
Donald Trump and the
holding space. And the idea is right. No, even if I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb, it'd be nice if it's like, no, if you call 3 times, it goes through. And even if time zones, there's certain people that, even if they call you drunk in the middle of the night and just like
I don't care if they call me drunk or
if
they
it's
call
once
me
a year, every other
sober,
year, it doesn't even have to be a problem, and it's not a problem.
Or they call me a leftist or whatever names they call me. They can call me and say I'm drunk. Okay, so the breathing exercise.
I would recommend, instead of starting with an inhale, because that's a type of like you're reaching for something and then you get stuck and you don't know if you're full or not. You start by letting go.
Do you want to lead the breathing exercise this time?
Sure. Yeah, Rafa did the last one. I'm happy to do this one. Is that all right?
Sweet. Yeah, sounds good.
So find just a natural breath. Like try to lose the conscious control over it. Turn it back over to your autonomic nervous system. And then instead of worrying about getting prepared to take a big breath, and are you gonna be able to hold your breath for long? No, so start just by like you're fogging a mirror and like you're trying to get rid of hiccups. So just start exhaling. And at the end, you're gonna hear a wheeze. And that's how you know you're actually squeezing all the last little bit of stale air out of your lungs. And then that big breath that you take in afterwards, you don't have to wait for me to give you that cue. You'll know when you're ready to take that big gasp in, is you hear yourself wheeze a little bit as you squeeze. You're actually expanding your diaphragm. Because again, what your belly doing, is it going up or down? No, but you have to let your autonomic system, and you tell your body, breathe out, all out. And then as soon as you squeeze that last little bit, you go through your nose though. And so your nose has narrow passageways. And due to the Bernoulli effect, gas moving through a fixed volume of space travels at a fixed speed. But as soon as you constrict that space, the mind thinks it should slow down as it goes through that tube. But in fact, the same volume of air has to pass through less volume of space. So the nose, as opposed to the mouth activates fight or flight, because you're filling up the top half of your lungs, because it's a slow breath. It's a wide, slow breath. And that's the breath when you see a bear in the woods, you gasp and you go, and so if you take 5,000 breaths in through your mouth every day instead of through your nose, you're building up cortisol in your system. It's it's part of the autonomic nervous system. And so as opposed to inhaling through the nose, it kind of rockets the air down to the bottom of your lungs, which fills up the bottom half of your lungs, which induces more of a rest and relax. So you have fight or flight versus rest and relax. And one is cortisol and adrenaline, and the other one is probably your cannabinoid system and your dopamine reward system and your serotonin reward system, and pretty much like all the names you've ever given to anything that attempts to explain the miracle that we are in this universe. But so at first I'd heard that 1,000 times in yoga class. Now class, I see some of you breathing in through your mouth. I'm telling you to be, and it's like, oh, is it because your lineage is a pissing contest? My style of karate is the wisest, and so you must breathe in through. No, and eventually there's an ER nurse, and she's explaining to me on the way out of class, like, Stefan, I see you breathing through your mouth a lot, and you try really hard. And I'm going to suggest to you that trying 110%, when I say that to the rest of the class, the room's 115 degrees. So if you overheat your engine, it's not going to cool down in that room. So for you, 110% means staying at 85%.
This is the best breath exercise I've ever been a part of. I've been trying to hold my breath or like find a breath.
Well, I gave you permission to inhale. That's the thing. As a teacher, you never leave someone on the end of a breath.
Bill Clinton's dying back here because he did not inhale.
This is explaining to people why this isn't woo. Because again, Rafa's a really smart dude, and so am I. And guess what? Andreas keeps both of us close enough that, again, we're not confidants, but we're both flat earthers, and most people ridicule and belittle people like that. And Andreas not only like has it in his heart, but like actually kind of has a sense that, like, when it comes to dealing with factual scientific information, I remember hearing Rafa rattle off a whole bunch of stuff about the Krebs cycle, and I went, holy shit, that guy actually knows what he's talking about, like about anything. And like usually, if anyone knows anything about one even silo of information, like, hey, that's all you're responsible for. But then I heard him talk about computer stuff and We'll keep surprising each other, you know. But again, it was the ER nurse who goes, no, when someone shows up with an open gunshot wound to their torso, and I'm telling them to breathe in through their nose and out through their mouth, it saves their life. And so, like, the fact that you don't really want to listen because you're like new to yoga and you're like still here because it makes you think it's
you have a gunshot wound,
skinny and attractive. Well, ER nurses deal with a lot of shit on a daily basis, and they have a very specific protocol of how it's called bedside manner. And either the person is going to go into shock because their heart keeps beating faster and faster, or they're going to start engaging because the body will give you morphine. You know, you don't, and if they give you morphine as well as your body, it's like serotonin levels can get out of whack from psychedelics. The body has weird reactions to things, and they, as far as outcomes, and they see this happen thousands of times. If you can get someone breathing calmly in through their nose and out through their mouth, instead of trying to tell people who shot them or be angry about who shot them or like explain how they were going to get them back and be furious and like worry about whether the police were going to know about them being shot or like was he routing, if you could just get that person to like shut the fuck up and breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, their outcomes and likelihood of like not dying on the table there go up a lot. So some people are like, the only thing they're focused on is getting right in that person's face and smiling and letting them know you're having the worst day of your life right now, and I've been here before, and what I'm going to help you do is get through this. And they're crying at you as they're saying this because they've seen people die right in front of them when they don't listen, you know? Because if the heart continues to pump all the blood out of your system, there's not really much they can do. And you need to slow down the heart and activate the autonomic, it's the placebo effect. No, you're fine right now. Tell yourself you're fine. And literally, if you can give yourself goosebumps, it's called the ASMR effect. As far as understudied things, we think we know everything about the human body, or, you know, what people say, how are we going to outer space if we don't know what's on the bottom of the ocean? It's like finding new organs inside of each other.
If George Floyd could have just done yoga breaths properly, if you were there, he would still be alive, and then none of this would have happened.
I'm open to having that debate because I don't even know what side it would be on, but I enjoy engaging in lively back and forth. It's when the other people on the other end aren't like laughing at me or with me and they get all bent out of shape. I'm like, am I a bad person? But if I continue to engage with that person and they end up in distress when I'm just kind of having fun as an intellectual exercise and thought experiment, no, over time, it's my job to recognize that I shouldn't engage with certain people in certain ways because, you know, everyone has triggers, you know? I guess. Well.
So wait, that was a good explanation. Are you going to
so the Mobius strip in one-sided, and again, is that an anthem? Is that like the Blocktopus? Is that you? Like, I don't know. But I thought it was kind of badass. And it was more effective when I was snarling at myself in the mirror when I had the whole goatee and like looked more like a pirate. But
so you're gonna walk us through the breath now?
Sure. So we're going to listen to someone burp right in your ears as you're trying to relax. And that's just recognizing that I didn't have my hand on the mute button. And that's how, you know, I'm out of practice because that should never happen. That should never happen. So,
hey, man, like, you don't have to apologize for...
no, that's such a party foul. Again, that's such disrespect to the audience.
You were just trying to tell us how to relax. You know?
That was a sound effect, you guys. Isn't Andreas clever? Didn't that sound really realistic? You know, that was not someone belching. Somehow, like, if you have your headphones in, that, oh, man. Okay, so what you're going to do again, every yoga teacher, and I go to yoga train, they tell you, okay, everyone start breathing in. And what they're doing there is building cortisol in your system. You want everyone to start at the same place. So we start by exhaling. And again, regardless of when I tell you to inhale, you'll know you're done exhaling when you hear yourself wheeze. And you learn that you're expanding your diaphragm. And then big breath in through your nose. Feel the air rocket through your nose all the way to the bottom half of your lungs. Allow it, instead of trying to breathe into your chest and like, again, allow it breathe into your belly. And then again, if you can train your nervous system, it's like if you train your shoulders to hang in better posture, eventually you don't have to think about it. You have better. So if you train your lungs to breathe air deep into them, after a few days, you might just feel better. Yeah. And then you want to breathe into your upper back. But no, again, whenever you're ready to exhale, just make sure you don't half-ass it. And when
do we exhale?
Whenever you're ready, but again, exhaling is not a simple process. The point is that I'm trying to draw your attention to is that you have to finish exhaling every time. And for 60 minutes in a row, I'm going to start you breathing at the beginning of class. And then it's your job to wheeze at the end of every single breath. Otherwise, you're not doing what the teacher's telling you. You're not getting maximum benefit from the class. And again, that's your call. But again, if you're wondering why like the yoga isn't as effective for you or like you're having a bad week, it's actually you're breathing as shit this week. Your poses look great. You're gaining flexibility, you're gaining strength, but you're breathing through this like you think it's a CrossFit class, or like you think that.
Come on.
And again, and I'm seeing it in your body. Again, they're breathing into their chest and their upper back. And I'm going, no, that's the bear in the woods breath. Again, you need the breath, the rest and relax, to breathe into your belly. And women are going, no, but my last yoga teacher told me that what I'm supposed to do is sit here and think about holding in my belly like I'm trying to put on the tightest pair of pants that I wish fit. And so, like, again, you have a teacher using terminology to cue people into things that they're feeling in their body. That's like the worst. People go to that space to let go of those feelings and to just be a human being for a second. And then, yeah, it's called trauma sensitive yoga, and it sounds froofy and it sounds like about as woke
it sounds like
it
sounds pretty real.
But you know, the way I try to open people's eyes when they try to scoff at it, I say, well, you know, I've personally never seen a woman I love get choked by the throat violently, but like some teachers, instead of saying lengthen the back of your neck, like reach the top of, you know, and what you do is you tuck your chin slightly. Most people, you say reach the top of your head up, and they reach their chin up. And so the teacher goes around saying, no, tuck your chin slightly. But what some teachers do is they say create a throat choke sensation. And then again, it's just something they heard once, and it's like you say it 12 times throughout class though. So for someone who has like a very visual memory and maybe like multiple memories of maybe themselves or someone they love being like literally violently choked, they want to go to yoga class where the teacher says pretty much anything other than the words throat choke sensation. And like, it's one thing to be like, oh, my method of teaching is better, or these poses you have to do this. No, but like, if it's my studio, it's my job to like draw the line somewhere. And if I have to explain it in a way where I'm engaging in histrionics, but again, I'd much rather just have an infographic about it. And that's where, again, like teamwork comes in, right? So, but in reality, the real answer is I should be able to engage in this behavior with AI too. That's true. But like my voice and tone changes when there's humans in the room. And the reason I'm opening the studio is so that I'll be a better online teacher eventually, because I need to find my yoga teacher voice, because
I like your yoga teacher voice. I think this is, I'll admit, I've never been to a yoga class quite like yours, Stefan.
Well, and what I say is, you know, I teach more of a yoga workshop. I teach you how to do the yoga. Other teachers lead you through a bunch of yoga exercises, like they're doing synchronized yoga dancing, put your left foot in, right? We're doing the hokey pokey.
Well, I think Iago appreciated you. I appreciate you. I don't want to take it away from you and have Raph do it. If you can do it, are you gonna do it?
I have my Sam Newsman style sign out, but you can choose again. I can always get it in next time. Or
we got like multiple super chats that I didn't even see. Apparently, Trinity.
I didn't read.
Was this from an earlier studio? That might be like from the last studio. Is that the deal? Got it. Okay. And then
when we organize a series of segments, the goal is to like create contrast. We have a kind of chaotic segment. You guys remember when VBDC was on, and when MFT, my family thinks I'm crazy, and just the leash that Andreas would give everyone to just talk over each other. Oh man, those are the days. And then again, we're here at the juncture where we're identifying the same chaotic conversation flows, but we're at least discussing a strategy. We're in real time. We're mapping this conversation and talk about something that other people could use. We're not selling it. We're showing that it's useful to us and our audience in terms of keeping us on the same page so that it's more listenable and watchable. And
wow. So me, if I was Raphael's wife, open AI queen, just gonna put that out there, Raph. There's someone's ready. I'm just saying, bro.
So two other pop culture. We talked about Miley Cyrus. One other pop. So I was at the bar the other day and just
wait. We got it. It's like it's late here.
Again, I promise this is not a Stefan story. This is like, again, this is actually
we're gonna do the breath,
again,
and then we're gonna go.
Too. That's fine.
Okay. Next time. Okay. So tell me.
It'll still be a valid joke next time.
Can you do the breath in like 10 seconds?
It's not that
like
topical.
An exhale, inhale, and exhale thing. Can we?
My preference is like 30-second inhale.
Do the breath.
Doing one breath really accomplishes nothing. No, it's my job to
hold on.
What it's called? It's called pranayama.
Paris says that you should finish your last thing. So if you were gonna say that thing, go ahead and say it. You promised wasn't a Stefan story.
Oh, the dirty joke. Okay. And again, this is the kind of thing where if there were a panel, what I want to know is like, again, sometimes it's definitely me. I'm the crazy one. And the reason that everyone else is going, dude, what you're saying either doesn't make sense or I disagree with you. And then I'm like, okay, fine. I acquiesce because I listened to the reasons why but there's two real simple things. One of them is that I have tape over both the camera on my computer, but on my phone. And I'm assuming that neither of you do, correct?
Yeah, it depends. Usually not so much because I use my camera a lot.
The follow-up question is, have you ever seen a product sold by a register for 79 cents, a little piece of silicone that is designed simply to slip over the front of your camera? It wouldn't cover the back ones. It's different shapes. But again, 8-year-olds have phones and they watch cartoons as they go to bed. And it's the guy at the bar was saying, look, I could show you right now the app that I would download if I were trying to hack into your phone. And if I would get a couple pieces of information from you, I could be staring at you through your phone. And I go, no, you can't, because I have like a fucking piece of tape over it. And he's trying to make me sound like, again, so you're here at that juncture and someone's trying to ridicule you and say, no, your parent. And what I'm saying is, like, if you were a parent and you're handing this device to a child, Steve Jobs designed the first one without a front-facing camera. And my brother just designed something called the Loop. It's a handheld device that might actually, like, acoustic engineering. It has all types of things, but it's a round screen. It's supposed to look like a magnifying glass, and you hold it up to things, and there's a camera facing away from you because it's supposed to be for like young kids. Like on a field trip, you go to a museum, and instead of like the old like headphones, you get like this little screen, and you point it at things, and it tells you what you're looking at. Okay. But so it's called cognitive dissonance and doublethink, and people don't want to just go, oh crap, man, I never thought about it that way. So the tape on the camera, small fish, AI driving. So if there was a ballot measure in your state, and it was actually just your neighborhood, and a politician said, the thing I'm running on is that automated driving is fine anywhere except a school zone. And you're either voting, no, AI driving is okay everywhere, including a school zone, or you're saying, no, okay, there's kids running around, and like as much as you trust the computer, no, don't drive through, like the AI won't take you to school zones, and it will also like within that area, if you try to press that button, it just simply won't work, and it will let you know it's not going to work, sort of thing. So again, gentlemen, this is America, local democracy in theory in certain ways, or republic that represents the. So which side are you guys on the argument? Is it safe to use AI driving in school zones, or is it safer to say and try to create a ballot measure where the public gets their voice heard, where we say no to that as a people?
I think it's safer to have AI driving than people. That's like the point.
Even in school zones. And so again, yeah. You're okay with
people suck at driving.
Well, hold on. This is a thought experiment. I've been here. Again, this is like if there were a diagram, we're 2/3 of the way through it, and you're thinking that we're going to get to the point and you're going to dismiss it, and then this is where I tie your brain in a pretzel for a second, and whether you agree with me or not, just getting the point across in a coherent way.
Everybody just breathe amongst yourselves.
But AI driving, and you push that button, and if you're blackout drunk or you're in a robo-taxi, and when it gets to its destination, there's someone's hair and blood stuck in the grill on the front because it hit a child or an old woman or a stroller that a woman was pushing, or even a dog. Okay. And are you okay? Like if a human dies in the car and you could have driven, now there was an option when you get into the Waymo, it says like, swipe your card here. You actually save 50 cents for driving. And you were just like bored or like making out with your girlfriend in the back seat, and you killed a human being in the car that you were driving in because you just didn't push the button that said, no, I'll drive and get the 50-cent discount. Thanks. Now, do you want that car driving through a school again, and do you want to reevaluate the decision about which side you would vote on that issue?
How many AI accidents are there compared to human accidents? Human accidents are grossly out measuring AI accidents, and humans are often inebriated, Democrats.
This is why, again, they eventually
there's a lot of problems out there.
They update the IQ test, and then certain people are allowed to use the adult toys, and some people just aren't because the decisions that they're presented with every time they go, no, but like AI driving's fine because like Elon said it was cool, right? And like there's a logical sequence here where
AI will have to insure itself, right? Corporations that drive you will have to be.
It's about your soul and whether you can sleep at night.
Think about what I'm saying.
The images of the children, the child that like if AI got laid out over the front of the car that you were in the back seat of while you're making out with your girlfriend.
If AI is in an accident, then the AI company is the liable party because they were driving.
And
right?
So that allows you as a human being to wash your hands of this.
Legally, yeah.
I'm not talking about money, Andreas.
Maybe even religiously, actually. So,
and again, you're making valid points. And if this were a chart,
it's not just a point. Let me put your brain in a pretzel for a second, I guess, like as you say. What happens
because I care about
AI
your soul, Andreas, but because I care and I care about Rafa's soul.
Because
and
AI
I care about everyone's
will end up.
So no, but if you,
I'm just gonna say it though, because AI is going to eventually drive somebody. And it'll be cheaper because you won't have to pay for the insurance while your car is driving. unless you're driving yourself. So it'll always become more and more expensive for you to drive yourself and ensure you're driving than it will be for AI to drive, which will be almost free. So they're going to de-incentivize people to learn how to drive, which means in the next 20 years, drivers are going to become worse and worse drivers. And so you'll have more and more systems where swarm, hive mind AI is driving thousands of cars simultaneously, which means there'll be less accidents, because if AI is in control of all of the elements that are happening on the road, then AI won't be able to crash into itself. But if humans become the random organic interaction, the more humans involved will actually make more accidents with AI possible. So they're going to make it more and more prohibitively expensive for humans to drive at all, right? That's the inevitability.
But how can you even talk about monetary costs as even like a factor that you're using to evaluate the decisions you're making about whether you're
sociologically, people will drive less as time goes on.
But so again, let me finish with that. I care about your soul, and I care about. So if you're the type of person that would press that button because it's only $8 to get home with an Uber,
I drive a stick shift. I drive a non-AI car.
But I'm casting us as a thought experiment. We shouldn't. This isn't. This is as a thought experiment. This is what it looks like to have a conversation.
But in 20 years, the world will look different. Do you agree with me that in 20 years the world will look different because of this?
I wouldn't want you to wake up. I wouldn't want you to wake up and go check your car in the morning in the driveway and see a child's body, mangled body underneath your front bumper. And you're going, geez, I don't really remember getting into bed last night and taking off my clothes. But like, and I definitely don't remember running over a child. Like, I don't think I was driving. You check the computer logs. And as long as like you weren't driving the car home drunk, like you're like, okay, it's another Tuesday. Call the police, get the body out from underneath the front of my car.